Darkest Dungeon 2, the ultimate guide. After hundreds and hundreds of hours of playtime, I decided to make all of my guides and combine them into one huge Magnum Opus. For the newcomers, I guess you wanna know who you're watching. I was one of the very first that finished Darkest Dungeon 1 when only 0.6% finished the game, and I'm probably the first one in the world that finished Darkest Dungeon 2, or better to say, I did it the day when the game was out. Literally after 6 hours I finished the game. Now, what will this guide cover? Everything. The Altar of Hope, leveling, everything that exists for the candles, a road, map, the inn, all heroes, all subclasses, respite, boss fights, everything that you can imagine. So everything that the game has to offer will be in this guide. Let's not waste time anymore. Let's go. Welcome to Darkest Dungeon 2 Altar of Hope guide. Let's see what are the most important upgrades and what you should max out first. Once you enter the Altar of Hope, this is what you'll encounter. The Interpid Coast, the Timeless Wood, the Living City, the Working Fields, and the Mountain. Let's start with the Interpid Coast. So what is the most important upgrade here and how you should open up? The very first thing that you should do is to unlock a pet. The first one, only till this dot. You should unlock additional relics and bubbles, and then you should go all the way up to +2 inventory slots in the middle. Once you're done with that, you're gonna go down and you're gonna spot all the way to the wealth, and you're gonna upgrade resourcefulness here. So 1 point here, 1 point till the wealth, and 1 point till the packing. After that, you're gonna max out the entire journey all the way till the end because you need those inventory slots. And after that, you will max out resourcefulness till the max. Okay, this is your primary objective. Number one thing that you should do as a new player. After that, you can consider going for companionship, but there are better places to spend candles in. This two are the most important. Ignore the rest. If you are good at Darkest Dungeon, you could put some candles into Infernal runs so you can get more candles of hope, but this is very hard, especially since this is a true roguelike, not a roguelite. The working fields and how you should unlock the working fields. You should get one item per run for all of these four. So first you go up with trinkets, you go 1, then you go combat items 1, stagecoach items 1, inn items 1, and you open up the map. That's how you're gonna get 4 items for free, which gonna make your run a bit easier, and this is a very cheap upgrade, especially at the start. Of course, you want to max this out as soon as possible. I told you how. You're gonna need around at least 6 or 7 successful runs, or better to say, if you're new, you're gonna need like 20 to 30 runs to max all of this out. Pick only one at a time before you enter the map in the Altar of Hope. This is the way. And now we come to the Living City and the Heroes upgrade. A lot of people want to play it all, and they want to unlock every hero in the game. That's a big no, okay? You need to decide what heroes you want to use, and you need to decide how you want to farm your candles. It's easy once you get used to the game to unlock everything, alright? But you really need a team that's gonna be valid to farm those candles. If you go and spend your points unlocking Hellion, then Runaway, then Jester, then all of those characters that I know you wanna play with, you're gonna suffer, and the game will become a chore. What you need to do is pick the first 4, alright? Very important, the first 4, and max them out as soon as possible, as well as getting their skills on a hero shrines. Once you get them maxed out, your runs will become way much smoother, and you're gonna farm more candles, or better to say, you're gonna farm candles faster. Do not, and I repeat again, do not opt in to unlock all characters even if you wanna play them. Make sure that you max this out, and you're gonna unlock all of the rest at least 5 times faster. Pick the starting lineup, Highwayman, Man-at-Arms, Grave Robber, Plague Doctor, max them out, get all the hero shrines, then go for the rest. The Timeless Wood is the thing that you're gonna upgrade the last, because the Timeless Wood is made for the end game. The Timeless Wood was made for the Infernal runs, when you're gonna kill the boss, where everyone's gonna survive, and then you're gonna pick specific buffs in the memories, and your heroes will start with those specific buffs on a second, third, fourth run. It doesn't matter. These are the chapters. Chapter 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Alright. So this is your last upgrade where you're gonna spend your candles absolutely the last. Memories. At the end we got a mountain, or better to say these are cosmetics, alright? And I said that Timeless Wood should be the last, mountain should be the last. Because these are just cosmetics, you're gonna change colors and weapons on your characters, they're gonna look different, they're gonna look better. So this is the one you're gonna upgrade the last with excess candles, okay? Timeless Wood once you start on your Infernal runs. Once you're done with all of that, there's also Renown, alright, with Prestige, to change how your Stagecoach will look like, and of course the Infernal Flame, as well as different pets in companionship. The first pet that I said that you upgrade immediately is really good because of the luxury gear and stress resist, and that's a good starting pet. The rest of them will come once you master the game a bit. The Recollection is where all of your trinkets, items, rewards, and everything that exists in the game basically, and you can see it here because I unlocked everything there is, will spawn, so you can check out what each trinket and item does. There's nothing to upgrade here, it's just a showcase of what the game has to offer. A quick reminder, we upgrade Journey and Resourcefulness, extremely important. We take one item out of each over here, Trinkets, Combat, Stagecoach, and Inn items per map. We find all hero shrines and upgrade only the first 4, we do not unlock other classes. We leave memories for the mega late game when everything is unlocked. And once you don't know what to do with your excess candles, you can spend them in a mountain, or hence Renown and get Stagecoach cosmetics. Believe it or not, that's it for the Altar of Hope. It's very simple. It looks complicated, but actually it's very simple. The game is just mega hard. This is the best that you can do at the start. Pick up those hero shrines, max those heroes out, get those resources out of the altar, and the game is gonna get faster and faster and faster, especially once you start winning chapters. You're gonna get a lot of candles. Darkest Dungeon 2, all heroes and all subclasses in the game. Guide. After hundreds and hundreds of hours, I'm giving to you one full combo of all heroes in the game. Let's not waste time. Let's go. Plague Doctor Guide, how to play the Plague Doctor. All builds for all subclasses in a game. Let's not waste time. Let's go. The Plague Doctor is a back row, blighter, burner, bleeder, healer, buffer, and debuffer. A full all-around S-tier hero. The best quirks that you can take on your Plague Doctor would be quirks that give you dodge and armor. Speed quirks are also very nice. Let's start from the Surgeon subclass and how you're supposed to play the Surgeon. Surgeon is a tanky, melee, healer version of a Plague Doctor. The best way to play the Surgeon would be from the position 3 and nowhere else. Having that in mind, if you get shuffled, you will need other heroes that can compensate and rotate so she can get back into position 3 non-stop. The build that we're gonna play on a Surgeon is Blinding Gas for some crowd control, Incision for classic bleed melee damage, Battlefield Medicine for healing, more healing from Indiscriminate Science, and of course debuffs removal, and some crowd control with Disorienting Blast. This is how you're gonna play Surgeon. The top 3 skills to upgrade on a Surgeon would be Incision, Battlefield Medicine, and Indiscriminate Science, in that order. The next subclass for the Plague Doctor would be the Alchemist, the best, absolutely the best subclass in the game. The Alchemist works only on position 4 and she can be played on position 3 also. stick with position 4. The first spell would be Noxious Blast to reach first 2 rows of enemies and deal blight damage. The second skill would be some Battlefield Medicine to remove blight, bleed and burn, as well as a small heal. The third skill would be the Plague Grenade, the bread and butter of this build. Fourth skill would be additional healing, debuff removal, of course, and one of the best spells in the game would be Magnesium Rain, full AoE burn damage that clears corpses, and the most important thing from here is dodge removal, dodge token removal from enemies. This is probably one of the strongest subclasses, not only for the Plague Doctor, but in the entire game. The top 3 skills to level up on the Alchemist subclass would be the Plague Grenade as the first one, Magnesium Rain as the second one, and Indiscriminate Science as the third one, in that order. The last in line would be Physician subclass for the Plague Doctor. Physician is a full freaking support. Every skill that you cast from Physician will be to buff your allies and debuff enemies. You will play position from position number 3 and position number 4. Best to be on position number 3. How do we play Physician? We play it with a Blinding Gas for some crowd control. We play it with a Battlefield Medicine for some healing and burn, blight, bleed removal. We play it with Ounce of Prevention because it has strong buffs with Ounce of Prevention, as well as with Emboldening Vapors. Upgraded as well as what they give with this subclass, it's gonna be crazy good. And at the end, we play with Disorienting Blast that's gonna make enemies stunned, damage down, dazed, vulnerable, and applying combo. Absolutely great skill on a Physician. The first 3 skills to upgrade on a Physician would be Disorienting Blast, then Blinding Gas, and at the end Indiscriminate Science, in that order. For the Wanderer Plague Doctor, the only important thing is Hero Shrines to unlock everything and then switch to some of the subclasses. You can use any of the builds I gave on the Wanderer, they all gonna work. Now, if you have any difficulties playing the Plague Doctor, you can always check one of my 100 runs that I uploaded on my YouTube channel and check all different builds and how I play the Plague Doctor. To me personally, one of the best classes in the game and most balanced. The Grave Robber Guide, how to play the Grave Robber. All builds for all subclasses in the game. Let's not waste time. Let's go. So what is the Grave Robber? Grave Robber profits a lot out of stealth, and she's also extremely good with range damage as well as AoE damage. It depends what type of class, or better say what type of subclass of a Grave Robber you would like to play, and that's why quirks for the Grave Robber are all valid. If you can get melee quirks, then you need to play as a melee. If you get range quirks, then you need to play as ranged. Very good quirks on a Grave Robber would be classic dodge quirks, stealth quirks, basically everything that merges with her subclass build. Now let's go to subclasses and explain how Grave Robber actually works. The first in line is the Deadeye, ranged Grave Robber. So how can we play Deadeye? Deadeye, the most simple way to play Deadeye is with full range damage and a bit of utility. So heal, stress heal, single target damage, AoE damage, and damage over time. That would be the first build for the Deadeye. She can be played with this build from position number 3 and position number 4. The next build would start on position 1 or 2, depends on your preference, where we're just gonna switch all of this for Pirouette, where you're gonna open up with Pirouette and level up Pirouette first, so you actually deal tons of damage. And the third build is where we're gonna remove single target damage and gain a lunge, so we can actually trigger Pirouette twice or even 3 times during combat. How does it work? Very simple. You open up with a Pirouette, you throw a poison dart, you stress heal on turn 3 or gain dodge and heal up with Absent, then you lunge in again, and then you Pirouette again. That's the entire combo. Now it is your choice how you wanna play Deadeye. How would I play Deadeye? Definitely with a Pirouette. Alright, definitely with Pirouette and lunge. this is the build that I would pick for the Deadeye. If a lot of characters are moving positions, you can put her on spot number 1. Grave Robber is tricky to play, especially for newcomers, cause she does switch positions non-stop. Most of her skills switch positions. What would be the leveling order aside from the pirouette as the main upgrade? Of course, it's Poison Dart and it's Dead of a Night, so you can actually stress heal when you clear the corpse. Upgraded Absent is extremely good, especially against Confession bosses, main bosses of the run, because it gives dodge plus 3 times. The next in line would be Venom Drop. Venom Drop is very simple to play. All you need to do is go into stealth and target enemies with blight damage. Merges extremely well with Blighter's build. We play with a Plague Doctor, Grave Robber and Flagellant. How do we play Venom Drop? The most important skill would be Shadow Fade. So we open up from position 2, go with a Shadow Fade, we're stealthed now, which means that the next upgrade, or better to say Poison Dart, will deal more blight damage. Once that is done, you can always taunt enemies and remove your stealth, and you're gonna get dodge with taunt. So she's also very defensive on top of dealing a lot of damage. A tricky one to play. You need a good team that's gonna switch compositions, and you need blighters in your team. So the best team for the Venom Drop Grave Robber would be Flagellant, Plague Doctor, and someone that can switch a lot of positions, like the Jester. The last Grave Robber, or better to say Nightsworn, is extremely simple to play. This is a lunge, pirouette, pure damage dealing Grave Robber with a very simple combo. You open up from position number 1, you open with pirouette. That's gonna be the first spell that you're gonna upgrade, by the way. Once you open up with a pirouette, you deal damage to the front row, AoE damage, spot number 1 and 2. She transfers to position number 4. On position number 4, you will apply Shadow Fade, stealth, so you will boost damage of lunge on for turn 3. So turn 1, pirouette, turn 2, Shadow Fade, turn 3, lunge, pirouette, Shadow Fade, lunge. I think you get the point how it works. If you are in danger, if you want to stress heal, you can do it. If you want to heal up, gain dodge, you can also do it. Very simple to play, very effective, deals tremendous amount of damage with lunge and pirouette, by the way. The main problem, she cannot deal damage to position number 4. She can only deal damage to position number 1, 2, and 3. That's the main problem with this build. But if you got characters that are gonna deal damage to position number 4, then this is the strongest subclass for the Grave Robber. Now, if you got problems and you don't know how to exactly play the Grave Robber, you got 100 of different runs on my channel where you can check out how I played the Grave Robber and learn how to play her. The Highwayman guide, how to play the Highwayman. All builds for all subclasses in the game. Let's not waste time. Let's go. What is the Highwayman? The Highwayman is a highly versatile class, or better to say, this is all around hero. This Highwayman is good as an off tank, as a melee damage dealer, a range damage dealer, and self buffer. One of the best classes in the game. What are the best quirks on your Highwayman? Very simple. Quirks that gonna give you armor, dodge, flat damage and flat crit chance are the best quirks on your Highwayman. One of the best quirks on a Highwayman would be Breakthrough, if you're lucky enough to get that one. Now let's go to Highwayman subclasses. The first one would be the Rogue, one of the best subclasses in the game and my favorite subclass for the Highwayman. How do we play Rogue? Rogue plays on a position number 1. You open up with a point blank shot, and then depends on the situation. If you want to remove positive tokens from enemies or steal their tokens, you're gonna use Highway Robbery. If not, you're gonna use Duelist Advance and get a riposte. Once you decide to execute enemies, you have Wicked Slice. And for the boss fights, you're gonna have Take Aim for additional juicy crits. How to level up in order? The most important skill would be Point Blank Shot, and then it would be the Highway Robbery. The third one that you're gonna get is Duelist Advance. The next in line would be Highwayman Sharp Shot, or better to say, Ranged Highwayman. Ranged Highwayman can be played in 3 different ways as a sharp shot. The first way is when you open up from position number 1 with a point blank shot, then you use a grape shot blast, and then you aim for the enemy if you wanna kill with a pistol shot, or you're gonna remove enemies' positive tokens, or better to say steal them. Once you decide to execute an enemy on a death's door, you got double tap. That would be the first option. The second option would be on a position number 3 with take aim instead of a point blank shot. So when you were opening with a point blank, this time you will open up with a grape shot blast, and then you'll decide what to do with the rest of the skills. And what is the most important thing to level up in order is the grape shot blast into pistol shot and into highway robbery. The last and the third option would be removal of highway robbery and getting trekking shot for ignoring dodge and making combo of a target. Same leveling order, grape shot blast is the most important upgrade on this sharp shot highwayman. The last in line would be Yellow Hand. What is Yellow Hand? Yellow Hand is an off tank position number 2 or 1 that deals bleed damage, or better to say, this is the bleeder. How do we play the bleeder? That depends on a team composition. If team will switch positions, then you're gonna play with a duelist advance. If the team is static, you will exchange duelist advance for wicked slice, and that's the entire difference of the build. The most important things to upgrade on the Yellow Hand Highwayman in the first spot would be Open Vein, and in the second spot would be a Highway Robbery and Double Cross. If you got any problems of playing Highwayman, you got 100 runs on my channel, both Radiant and Infernal runs. You can check it out how I was playing Highwayman. It's one of the best classes in the game, definitely S tier, especially Rogue subclass. The Man-at-Arms guide, how to play Man-at-Arms. All builds for all subclasses in the game. Let's not waste time, let's go. First subclass for Man-at-Arms would be the Sergeant. Pure support. He can be played from position number 4 to position number 1. It doesn't matter where you put it, which also means that you can play with whoever the hell you like over here. They all merge well with the Sergeant. Sergeant buffs your allies like crazy and debuffs enemies. What are the most important skills? It's the Defender to protect allies. It's Bolster to remove vulnerable and damage down, as well as to remove stress. Below to remove crits and riposte from enemies, also to reduce their move speed. Retribution, one of the best spells in the game by far, which gives taunt, riposte, and armor up. And at the end, we got Command that's gonna remove blind and give classic damage to a character, to a hero. What is the most important spell? The first one you're gonna learn is Retribution, after that it's Bolster, and after that it's Below. After that you can do whatever the hell you like over here. Just make sure that you got these 3 in order: Retribution, Bolster, Below. The next subclass would be Bulwark. Bulwark is a classic position 1 or 2 Man-at-Arms that's gonna whack enemies with its shield and stun them, okay? Crowd controlling enemies, relieving allies from stress, as well as removing crits and riposte from enemies. Once it gets really tough, he can also provide a lot of armor for himself, or better to say, this is one very tanky Man-at-Arms. If you get out of position as a Bulwark, you can go in with Hold the Line and reorganize your entire team. The most important skill as a Bulwark would be Bolster, and that's what you're gonna level up first. After that, it's gonna be Below and Rampart. And now we go to Vanguard. Vanguard is my favorite class, subclass in a game. Why? Very simple, it's a classic damage dealing riposte Man-at-Arms. Now how do we play Vanguard? We need Crush, we need Bolster, we need Hold the Line, we need Below, and we need Retribution. The first 2 skills that you're gonna level up as a Vanguard is of course Retribution and Bolster for stress. After that it's Below. You don't need anything else. Vanguard is extremely strong, very nice class, subclass to play with, and I would highly recommend this subclass to everyone. instead of other subclasses for the men-at-arms. Now, if you got some problems playing men-at-arms, I played him a lot and I got dozens of videos with men-at-arms with all subclasses. You can check out my runs and I hope they're gonna be helpful to you. The Hellion guide, how to play the Hellion. All builds for all Hellion subclasses in the game. Let's not waste time and let's go. So what is the Hellion? Hellion is a front rank damage dealing machine. Okay, she can bleed enemies, she can reach the last row, the only melee character that can actually reach the last row of enemies. She's got high damage, she can also bleed enemies, and she can be extremely tanky, and she possesses a taunt. The first subclass for Hellion would be Ravager, classic damage dealing machine buff when she is on position number 1. So how do we play Ravager? During mapping, you want to go with a Wicked Hack, you want to go with Iron Swan, you want to go with Toe-to-Toe, Reckless Revelry for stress relief, and Howling End. If you think that you're gonna kill at the start, you can immediately use Howling End, and then on turn 2 you will go Toe-to-Toe. Once upgraded, it will remove Winded debuff, so she can hurt again with the Wicked Hack. So turn 1 Howling End, turn 2 Toe-to-Toe, turn 3 Wicked Hack. If you wanna reach back row, you open up with Iron Swan, then with Howling End into Toe-to-Toe, into Wicked Hack. That is one build while the maps last. Once you enter the boss fight, you're gonna switch Iron Swan for Adrenaline Rush, so you got extra healing out of this too. Once you reach Confession boss, you will remove Toe-to-Toe and go with Bloodlust. And this is how you play Ravager. So what skills are the most important on a Ravager? This one that removes stress is extremely important to upgrade, as well as Howling End. If you got teammates that can reach and that can burst out, then maybe it's better to go with Wicked Hack. If not, then you're gonna go with Howling End if your Hellion is going to be the main damage dealer in the game. The next subclass of Hellion would be the Berserker. So how do we play Berserker? If you open up from position 1, that means that you will target the first enemy in line. So how do we play Berserker? If you open up your fight as position number 1, that means that you will use Bleed Out the most, and the rest of the skills are there to compensate. If you get shuffled, you're gonna go back with a Breakthrough. If you go back with a Breakthrough on position number 4, once you go with a Breakthrough position number 2, then you can use Bleed Out. Alright, and then you can use Breakthrough again. The rest over here is to remove stress, to heal up, and remove Winded debuff. This is one way to play the Berserker. The other way is on a position 2, where you're gonna open up and kill enemies with if it bleeds. Now that all depends on what trinkets you're going to get along your run, and this is how you'll play Berserker. If you get a trinket for position number 2, then you will switch Bleed Out for Bloodlust. If you get good item for position number 1, you will switch if it bleeds for Bloodlust. So Berserker basically has 2 types of different builds. What's the most important skill to upgrade? Very simple. If position 2, it's if it bleeds. If position 1, it's Bleed Out. Of course, after that you go with upgraded Stress Heal. Now here we go with Hellion Carcass, my favorite Hellion subclass. What is Carcass? It's a taunter. As long as you use Barbaric Yoke, you'll taunt enemies. It's simple as that. For every point of Winded debuff, you will get 75% chance for armor up. If you can find a trinket that's gonna turn armor into armor plus, this is literally indestructible taunt tank, full tank Hellion. Probably one of the best tanks in a game, only and only if a good trinket rolls. What's the most important skill to upgrade? Of course, it's Barbaric Yoke, and after that it's a Stress Heal and Classic Heal, and that's about it. Very simple to play, very good class to play with, subclass. If you got problems playing Hellion, you can check some of my videos where I played Hellion with all 3 different subclasses and finished all of my runs on Infernal Torch, the Runaway guide. How to play the Runaway. All builds for all Runaway subclasses in the game. Let's not waste time and let's go. The Runaway covers every position in the game. She's very unique in the game as she's a new addition to the Darkest Dungeon franchise, and her main ability is Burn. Or better to say, she burns enemies from nearly every position. Aside from that, she's also a stealthy character and a very nimble one. Can be easily played from position 1 to position 4. One of the stronger characteristics for this hero is high movement. She moves like crazy, backwards and forward. The best quirk by far on a Runaway would be Breakthrough. Other than that, she profits mostly out of crit, range damage, melee damage, and of course, dodge tokens. The first subclass for the Runaway would be Arsonist. Arsonist has a higher chance to burn enemies with her skills. In return, she deals less damage. There are multiple ways to play Arsonist, from position 1 to position 4. I'll show you my favorite way. This build is by far the strongest one on an Arsonist. You open up from position 2 and you apply Dragonfly on enemies. After that, you'll apply Controlled Burn, and after that, you'll start bombarding with Firefly. Non-stop burn with all of these 3 skills. Once you fight some bigger enemy, you can always blind them, and if some of the allies gets low on HP while bleeding, you can heal them up and remove bleeding. This build, I kinda like it the most in the entire game out of all subclasses. Arsonist that moves with Dragonfly. Of course, now if you wanna play like that and you wanna move non-stop with Dragonfly, you can open up Arsonist with position 1, then she goes back, you put up a Ransack to go forward again, burn enemies with Ransack. You can also apply Controlled Burn. There is the option of a Searing Strike. And once she gets low, once you upgrade Run and Hide, she'll go into Stealth and heal up. This is the other way to play Arsonist. Now, what is the most important upgrade for Arsonist? No matter what build you decide to play on an Arsonist, Dragonfly and Firefly are the things you want to upgrade first. After that, it should be Controlled Burn. The next one in line is a Survivor subclass, or better to say, this is a Support Runaway. Support Runaway, we can play her from spot number 4 or spot number 3, your choice, and of course depends on a team you want to play with. Now, how do we play Support Survivor Runaway? Very simple. We're gonna go with Heartlight, we're gonna go with Cauterize for additional healing, we're gonna go with a Fire Starter and apply on units that deal AoE damage so they can burn everyone. Run and Hide once she gets in danger with Stealth and Healing, and of course Combo, Blind, extremely good on the support. Once upgraded, it makes enemies vulnerable. The first skill you want to upgrade on a Survivor would be Smokescreen and Fire Starter. After that, it's Cauterize. The last in line would be Orphan. Orphan can be literally played only on position 1 or position 4, so pay attention. If you go with position 1, then it's melee Orphan. If you go with position 4, then it's ranged Orphan. So how do we play Orphan on position number 1? We play it with a Fire Starter that's gonna give us crit, and then we go into Dragonfly, or the other way around. Dragonfly into Fire Starter, into Ransack or Searing Strike. I would recommend Ransack. If some of your characters get low, you can always heal them. The other Orphan is on position number 4, and that would be Burning Orphan. Burning Orphan is very simple to play. All you need is a Firefly, Cauterize, Controlled Burn. If you get switched, then you're gonna use Controlled Burn because you can't use it from position number 4. You need Fire Starter, and at the end you can go with Blind. This would be Orphan on position number 4. Your main spell, main skill would be Firefly, and that's the one you want to upgrade. The next one would be Fire Starter. That would be it with a Runaway, a very specific class, unique class to play with. I would not recommend Runaway to newcomers though, she is quite complicated to play with, but once you master her, you'll find her extremely strong, definitely S tier. The Jester Guide. How to play the Jester. All builds for all subclasses of the Jester in the game. Let's not waste time and let's go. Our favorite character in the game, the Jester. So what is the Jester? The Jester moves around like crazy, he switches positions non-stop, he creates chaos among enemies and among your teammates too. He gives extra play, he stress heals, he supports, he bleeds enemies, and he has probably the highest crit in the game with Finale. Jester is extremely fun to play. Now, what are the best quirks on a Jester? Anything that's gonna give Jester dodge is absolutely great. Everything that's gonna give Jester armor up, it's gonna be great on a Jester. Speed is also where he profits out the most. Now let's start with the first subclass of Jester, Virtuoso. So, Virtuoso Jester is a full support Jester that's best played on position number 3 or position number 4. He stress heals, buffs allies, he gives them extra action, or better to say, extra action in a turn. He moves enemies, and once he gets out of position, he can always go back and armor up. The main benefit for this Jester is huge stress resist on allies on a turn start that lasts for 2 turns, 15% chance to hit. Because of the high speed, he's always gonna play first and buff allies. Now, what's the first skill that you should level up on a Jester, on a support Virtuoso? It would be Inspiring Tune for additional stress heal. The next one that you should upgrade would be Battle Ballad for that extra crit chance. The next Jester in line would be damage dealing Soloist. Soloist starts from position number 3 and he can be played in 2 different ways, as a bleeder and as a pure damage dealer. If you want to play Soloist as a bleeder, you need Razor's Wit, you need Fade to Black, move forward, move backwards, blind, combo enemies, Slice Off, dealing bleed damage to a single target, Harvest, deal bleed damage AoE to spot number 2 and 3, and Stress Heal. The first spell that you want to upgrade is definitely Slice Off for the bleeder, then it's the Harvest, and at the end it's the Inspiring Tune for additional stress heal. The second build for the Jester, Soloist Jester, is the classic solo Finale build where Finale hurts like crazy. And it's very simple to play. From position number 3 you go in with solo, you mark enemy, you kick them off with Finale, or better to say, you're gonna one-shot with Finale after solo in a turn 2, and then you're gonna use Inspiring Tune to stress heal if needed. If not, you're gonna move forward with Razor's Wit, combo enemies again, then Fade to Black after this, put blind on enemies, and then again solo is available for Finale combo on turn 4. That's the full combo of a Soloist Jester. My favorite one by far, and the most fun to play with. The last one in line is Intermezzo. Intermezzo bleeds with song skills, and he merges extremely well with a Runaway cause she can remove bleeding and heal allies. So Intermezzo requires a specific team compositions, or better to say, he needs a Runaway or he needs a Plague Doctor. If you want to play Intermezzo, you can use all builds that I gave for Virtuoso and Soloist. It is your choice whether you wanna play as a buffer Jester, as a damage dealing Jester. Okay, now your solo from Soloist build that I gave will put bleed on enemies, 20% less damage, but they will bleed. Okay, Virtuoso will bleed allies and it will give them stress resist also. So now I would say that the best way to play the Jester, if you really want to play Intermezzo, is definitely again with a Finale build, but you can always play as a full support, of course. The Leper guide, how to play the Leper. All builds for all subclasses for the Leper in the game. Let's not waste time and let's go. So what is the Leper? The Leper can be only played from position number 1 or 2. He is probably the strongest Wanderer class in the game, and he is probably the best hero without Hero Shrine upgrades. So his first 5 skills are probably the best and most valid in the game. One of the best early game heroes. What Leper does, he deals tremendous amount of damage, huge crits, self-heals, self-stress heals, as well as huge non-stop taunts. extremely tanky hero, extremely reliable. The best quirks on a Leper would be quirks that give armor up and, of course, crit chance. Now let's go to subclasses. The first one would be damage dealing Leper, or better to say Tempest. So there are a few ways to play Tempest. The main point for you is to be the damage dealer, but there are few ways how you can reallocate these skills. Tempest, even though he has minus 25% maximum HP, is actually extremely tanky. That means that the entire Leper is extremely tanky when its squishier subclass is very tanky. He's good enough on a first map with those starting skills: Chop to deal damage, Purge to clear corpses, Withstand to get armor up and taunt, Solemnity and Reflection to clear stress and heal up, as well as remove blind. If you got a character that's gonna remove corpses, you're gonna switch Purge for Intimidate. And that would be while the mapping lasts on a Tempest. Once you reach the boss, you will need to change for Ruin, and this is how you'll play Tempest. Now, how to play Leper? Very simple. On the first round, you will always down. On a second round, if you got combo on enemies to ignore your blind, you will use Chop. If not, you will use Reflection, and then you will use Chop. For the bosses, you'll just click on Ruin, and that's it. If someone clears corpses, you are on a map as a Tempest, you do not need Ruin, you can profit out of Intimidate, and this is how you play. So, no corpse clear, this is the build for the Tempest. Corpse clear in the team, this is the build for the Tempest. You arrive at the boss, this is the build for Tempest. Very simple to understand. Leveling up, you only need Withstand, Chop, and then Solemnity. You're good to go. The next subclass for the Leper would be Poet, aka full freaking tank, probably the biggest tank in the game. So how do we play Poet? Poet goes on spot number 1. He cannot be stunned, he cannot be shuffled and moved by enemies. His heals are absolutely OP, they fill up the entire HP bar, and that's the main strength of the Poet. What's Poet and how you play Poet? Very simple. You're gonna level up Withstand, and you're gonna level up Intimidate, and you're gonna spam this two non-stop. Once you get low, you go with Solemnity, and you're good to go. That's how it is, non-stop double taunts on a Leper. If he comes with a quirk that gives armor, or if you get some trinkets that gonna provide him armor, this is literally indestructible subclass of a Leper, undying hero. Also for the Poet, if you don't have anyone to clear corpses, you're gonna exchange Chop for the Purge, and this is how you play without corpse clear. If you got corpse clear, you switch to Chop, or you can even go to Break. The last subclass for the Leper would be the Monarch. Monarch is definitely my favorite hero in the game. Absolutely crazy good against cosmic enemies. All bosses, main chapter confession bosses, are cosmic enemies. Every hardest encounter in the game before you finish the map are cosmic enemies. This is the Leper that doesn't deal damage to a single enemy but cosmics. Okay, there are 9-10 types of enemies in the game. How is Monarch played? You tank up and soak up damage during the entire map, then you just switch to 1 damage spell against cosmic enemies. When you want to finish up the map, he's gonna burst like crazy. He gains a 50% maximum HP against cosmic enemies, speed, and the Chop will deal 100% more damage. Absolutely broken. And the best subclass for the Leper. Now, how do we play Monarch? Very simple. If you got corpse clear in your team, you're gonna play with Hue, and you're gonna have Withstand, Solemnity, Intimidate, and Reflection. You level up these two to the max, alright? So you can taunt up with armor, upgraded armor, and you can taunt up also and remove stealth from enemies. Once you're done with this two, you're gonna upgrade Solemnity and Chop. Once you arrive at the end of the map to fight cosmic enemies, or when you arrive at a confession boss, all you need to do is switch Hue for Chop and switch Intimidate for Ruin, and you're good to go. Then Monarch deals the most damage in the game. Basically, when he crits, it's bloody OP, because Ruin can go all the way up to 180% damage. If you crit on 180% damage with a chop, imagine the numbers of damage on the Monarch Leper. From the lowest damage in the game to highest damage in the game. That's how strong Monarch is. The main point about the Leper, if you noticed, is that you'll need to switch skills along the way. There are mapping skills, there are cosmic enemies skills, there's the damage skills and the taunting skills. You need to know what enemy you'll fight next and how you'll adapt every time before the combat starts. All in all, Leper is absolutely insane class. I got a lot of runs with the Leper, you can check them out on my YouTube channel. I got all subclasses runs on both Radiant and Infernal Torch. If you have any problems, you can easily check it out and learn how to play the Leper properly. The Occultist guide, how to play the Occultist. All builds for all subclasses of Occultist in the game. Let's not waste time and let's go. So what is the Occultist? Probably the weakest class, the weakest hero in the game. Unfortunately, until he receives some buffs. Yes, he's got among the highest crits in the game and among the highest damage in the game, but he's extremely squishy, and to trigger those crits you'll need to lose 2 or 3 rounds, so you can actually accumulate this yellow fist that you see over here, his inner power, okay? And then his spells hurt more. It's the class that overcomplicates things a bit, but in return he covers a lot of AoE damage, he covers all spots on the map, he covers all enemy positions during combat. He is a small healer and he is a huge debuffer. The best quirks on the Occultist, if you wanna play him as melee, it's of course melee damage and crits or flat damage. If you play him as ranged, it's dodge, armor up, and of course ranged damage. If you wanna play him as ranged, it would be armor up, dodge, dodge plus, and of course flat ranged damage quirks. Now let's start with the Ritualist. Ritualist is a full support, buffer and debuffer, and of course healer. Ritualist can be played from position 2 to position 4. The only position he doesn't cover is position 1, but basically if you get shuffled he can play his skills from nearly every position, and that's a huge plus. There are 2 ways how we can play the Ritualist. The first way is a slightly offensive Ritualist with full healing, curses, buffs, debuffs through weakening curse, vulnerability hex, some healing from weird reconstruction. You open up with chaotic offering, so you get those fists, and then you burst enemies on round 2 or 3 with the burning stars, or you can heal up with weird reconstruction. You get those fists, healing is bigger. The next ritual build that you can play is sacrificing the burning stars for the demon's pool, so you can actually clear corpses if no one in your team can clear corpses. That's about it with the Ritualist. The first spell that you want to upgrade would be Chaotic Offering and Weird Reconstruction. After that you could go for the Burning Stars. Playing without Burning Stars, then you're gonna upgrade one of the curses, hexes. Your choice what you wanna do, it depends on the map of course, and it depends out of the team comp. The next subclass for the Occultist would be the Warlock, probably the strongest subclass of the Occultist in the game. Pure damage dealer. Simple as that. Now, how do we play Warlock? Warlock can only be played on position number 3. And the main ability and the main damage dealing spell would be Abyssal Artillery. That's gonna combo enemies and stun them if you got those buffs. Fists, how you gain them through Chaotic Offering, so your skills hurt more. When you need single target damage, there's the Burning Stars, the one of the best skills, not for the Occultist, but in the entire game. The amount of damage is absolutely crazy on the Burning Stars, and this is the boss killer skill. And of course, for melee enemies, you got Sacrificial Stab, if you wanna reach that position 1 and 2, finish them off on low health and so on, and at the end, if no one can clear corpses, then you got Demon's Pool. If you got someone that's able to clear corpses, you can switch Demon's Pool for Anamnesis or Weird Reconstruction. That would be your choice how you wanna play this Warlock. How do we level up Warlock subclass? The main ability as the first one would be Abyssal Artillery. The next one would be Chaotic Offering, and at the end it would be the Burning Stars. The main problem with this Warlock is that he needs protection non-stop, so team that can defend Warlock, that can use towns from position 1 and 2 or flat defend on them, would be recommendable for this Warlock Occultist. Again, he is extremely squishy. The last subclass for Warlock would be a Tank Warlock, aka Aspirant. Aspirant has raised maximum HP by 25%, his melee skills hurt more, Anamnesis has insane damage, AoE damage, and he starts the combat with armor plus, so he can be played from position 1 and 2. If you're gonna play Aspirant on position 2, you will play this build with a Demon's Pool. If you're gonna play Aspirant Occultist on position 1, you will change Demon's Pool for Weird Reconstruction. Your choice where you wanna put him, it depends on the team, but those would be the two options. Now how do we play Aspirant? We whack enemies with melee. If we get out of the position, we use Binding Shadows to move forward. The main ability would be Anamnesis that deals 125% more damage. It's an AoE skill that absolutely destroys enemies. If enemies are weak, you will use Sacrificial Stab. If there is a more complicated combat, then you're gonna open up with Chaotic Offering, and the next thing that you're gonna use is Anamnesis and wipe out all enemies. The leveling and how you will level up this Warlock, very simple. Sacrificial Stab will be your first upgrade, the second upgrade would be Chaotic Offering, and the third upgrade would be Anamnesis. That's about it. The Vestal guide. How to play the Vestal. All builds for all subclasses of Vestal in the game. Let's not waste time. Let's go. What is Vestal? Compared to Darkest Dungeon 1 Vestal, where she was a full support and a healer, this time she's a healer. She is a full support, debuffer, huge buffer, huge support, both offensive and defensive support, and on top of it all, you can play her as a ranged or melee damage dealer. Absolutely insane class. What are the best quirks on a Vestal? Basically any quirk that's gonna give you armor, dodge, or flat damage, both range and melee, doesn't matter, is the quirks that you wanna aim for. Now let's start with a Confessor subclass for the Vestal. Confessor is there for a debuffs and for full support. Best to be played on position number 3 or 4. The first one in line we're gonna take is Illumination to remove positive tokens from enemies. The second one is a bit of range damage with Judgment as well as some debuffs on enemies. The third one is a classic heal, single target heal. The fourth one is a classic AoE heal, heal per turn, better to say. And the last one, now this is your choice for the Confessor. If you need defense, you will go with Consecration of Fortitude. And if you need offense, then you will go with Consecration of Light. Depends on a team you wanna play with. What are consecrations and how do we play Vestal, no matter what class or subclass? She gains convictions that empower her spells. That's the first thing. When you see these convictions, the spell will be empowered. Depends on what spell you wanna go for, of course. That is one thing. Works very similar to Occultist mechanic, but she also has these consecrations that will grant damage. Upgraded versions will grant damage and crit, and she's got defensive consecrations that give armor or dodge, and upgraded that give upgraded armor and upgraded dodge, or better to say armor plus and dodge plus. So now you get to pick with the Confessor whether you want this consecration or you want Consecration of Light. If you know what you're doing with Vestal, you can easily remove Divine Comfort and play with both consecrations. This is all your choice. Now we go to the next class, it would be Chaplain. Chaplain is a classic support debuffer. Compared to the Confessor, where she was a squishy support, now we're gonna play her as a tanky support. Now how do we play Chaplain subclass? The first spell that we're gonna get is the Hand of Light. The next spell would be Maze Bash, the next spell would be Sanctuary, then is the Divine Comfort, and at the end it's Mantra. If you know what you're doing, you can remove Divine Comfort and gain one of the 2 consecrations. Depends on a team, of course. If you do not need consecrations, then you can easily go with Illumination, because this chaplain is best played on position number 2. Spells that you wanna upgrade are Sanctuary, Maze Bash, and Hand of Light. It's completely your choice how you wanna play. You got 3 or 4 different ways with chaplain. The thing that you're gonna switch is this, or this, this, or this. Pick out of these 4 skills which one you like the most for the chaplain. Again, this highly depends on a team you'll play with. If you don't have a stress healer in your team, you might go with Mantra as the first upgrade. If you don't have a tank in your team, then you will go with Sanctuary as your first upgrade. The last in line would be Seraph subclass for Vestal. This is Consecration Vestal, where consecrations last for 5 rounds, and every time when someone triggers a consecration, she will gain power up, so she can hurt more. If you don't want to hurt more, you can heal more. So how do we play Seraph? We put Consecration on Fortitude under the squishiest character. We put Consecration of Light under the character that's gonna deal most damage. And then we will have full powers for extra heals, for extra damage. If someone is close to that, we can always use Mantra and AoE heal everyone that's under the effects of Consecration. That's how Seraph is played. There are multiple ways to play now. If you have another healer in your team, you can sacrifice heal and you can go with Illumination. That will be it for the Vestal. Wanderer class, you can play all the builds that I gave. It doesn't matter what you want to play with, alright? The only thing you need to make sure is to unlock all of her skills through hero shrines. The Flagellant guide, how to play the Flagellant. All builds for all subclasses of the Flagellant in the game. Let's not waste time, let's go. What is the Flagellant? Flagellant is probably the most overpowered class in a game. Yes, this hero is absolutely insane and he's probably gonna get nerfed. What he does is basically everything. He soaks up damage, he heals, he stress heals everyone, he removes all negative effects from everyone. He literally does like all of these combined, that all of them that do okay, like blight damage, he's got it, melee damage, he's got it, crits, he's got it, tankiness, he's got it. Like this one is all of these combined into one. So due to nerf, but let's make a guide for it. So the best quirks on him are absolutely everything that can give him armor, health, flat damage. It doesn't matter what you want to go for. Even crits work well. The best by far is Defiant. He literally cannot die. Okay, he is an undying hero, especially if you get this. The first in line would be a subclass called Maniac. What he does is crowd control, and that's what he does the best. Now let's see the build. So, this is the perfect build for Maniac. Flat damage with Blight, AoE damage back rows with Blight, Lash Gift for self-heal, more for the Undying option, because he gains this tokens that are called Pain, and for every point of pain he heals up certain amount of health. So he can go up to 3 points, that's 30% healing, absolutely broken. On Pain Plus, he heals 45% HP, broken. So we were at more as the main skill of Flagellant, the one that makes him indestructible basically, and at the end it would be Sepsis, or better to say extra heal. Now this is the perfect build for Maniac, yeah, but considering how OP he is, I would easily remove Sepsis from Maniac, because he doesn't need that much healing, and I would put into Clear Stress. Why Clear Stress? If you give him a Trinket for stress resist, and that counts for all subclasses of Flagellant. If you give him Trinket for stress, flat stress resist, and if you get a pet for stress resist, he can remove stress from allies, and he will negate stress from himself. So that's 5 points. I repeat, 5 points of stress heal. Absolutely OP. So this is what I would remove from Maniac, even though it was invented to play with Sepsis. I believe Endure is far better than Sepsis, and we're gonna need all of this. Also, what you can exchange on a Maniac is Lash Gift. Okay, Lash Gift can be exchanged if you need corpse removal for Fester. If not, then you can go with Necrosis. When you play Necrosis, when you got Plague Doctor, Grave Robber, heroes that deal blight damage, alright, this is when you go with Necrosis. So there are 3-4 different ways to play Maniac. It all depends on a team you wanna play with. Of course, the only positions where you can play Flagellant, no matter the subclass, would be position 1 and 2. For example, if you don't have a healer in your team, you can easily remove Necrosis for damage and play with Deathless also, so that will be like 5th build for Maniac right now. And there is that build with Sepsis also, where you can steal all negative tokens from your ally, heal them up, and then transfer all of those negative tokens to enemies. Again, 5-6 different ways of how you can play Maniac. Now, everything that I said applies also for other subclasses. Exanimate, once he goes into stress, you want to stress out Flagellant only on boss fights, by the way. He doesn't go into a meltdown, he becomes OP, but you only wanna do it during the boss fights, cause allies will lose relations with him. So only for the final boss you will want to stress him out with Endure as much as you can, cause that's how he becomes toxic. Alright, and toxic makes him even more OP. Now, depends on a subclass you're playing with, Toxic has different effects. For example, on Exanimate subclass, everyone that hits Flagellant, and he's got a taunt by the way with more, everyone that hits Flagellant will become blighted. And that is the entire difference between Maniac and Exanimate. Now, what is the build on Exanimate that I like the most? I like healing over time, or better to say undying. No one can die in your team, you wait for them on Blight. Okay, once you reach some point where you can sacrifice one of these skills, if you're for example stress-free, as I said, this class, subclass, no matter what you pick on a Flagellant, it's pretty much doable with every single skill that you click on. So if your companions are without stress, you're gonna remove Endure and you're gonna go with Necrosis. Or you can remove Necrosis and you can go with Fester for clear corpses if no one has clear corpses. I repeat again, what everyone else does, he does it all. That's how OP he is right now. And he is due to a nerf. The last subclass would be Scourge. Scourge is actually the full support, okay? Full tanky taunter support, where he opens up with more, and now he steals tokens from allies and he transfers negative tokens on enemies. He can also remove Blight, Bleed, Burn, and of course he can heal up for amazing amount of health. So this is like a safe bet, safe version of Flagellant, the Scourge. Now, what is the most important skill in the game for the Flagellant to upgrade? It's by far more. That's the first skill that you want to upgrade. Now, if you play with a Scourge, you might want to go with Sepsis or something like that for the next one. Extra heal if you don't have a healer for the second one. If you play with Maniac, you can upgrade Punish. If you play with Exanimate, you can upgrade Acid Rain. So it all depends out of the subclass what you will upgrade after more. The only thing that matters is more on every single subclass, including the Wanderer class. So this is your bread and butter. What I figured out that works in most team compositions is, no matter what subclass, more, Acid Rain, Punish, Necrosis, if you got blighters. If not, then you're gonna go with Undying and Stress Heal. This is the safe bet until you learn how to rotate skills on the Flagellant. I said that he is the strongest character hero in the game by far, but he is also the hardest one to learn and master and to actually play with success. So there is a penalty in difficulty, okay, of how fast you can learn each hero. Everyone is pretty much easy to learn aside from Occultist, Vestal and Flagellant, okay. Flagellant is the most complicated one to learn and to play with, because he can be played in like 15 different ways. Now imagine when you put tokens on him, okay, different tokens, when you put different trinkets and when you put different quirks. Combinations are limitless on a Flagellant, but it pays off because he's really OP. Newly added Bounty Hunter guide for the Altar of Hope update. Let's go. Once you see this banner for the Bounty Hunter, that's when you can recruit the Bounty Hunter. It can happen in 1, 2, 3, 4. I never seen him at the final end though. Maybe it can happen, maybe not. I know that I never had him on a bounty. What is the Bounty Hunter? Bounty Hunter covers all positions from 1 to 4. He can be played everywhere. Best played at position number 3 or 2. His biggest strength is his skills. They're all mastered, they're all leveled up. Okay, so he is extremely strong. How and when you should play Bounty Hunter, that's the main question in the game, because you can only have him on one map. First of all, and what you need to do, because Bounty Hunter doesn't have relations like others, you need to spend all relation items before recruiting Bounty Hunter, okay? So if you're gonna boost relations, do it immediately in the end, and then recruit the Bounty Hunter. I thought I made myself clear here.
Tried and
now
tested.
You can recruit the Bounty Hunter.
A bond to be counted on.
That will be rule number 1.
Aspiration unites the hopeful.
Rule number 2. Who you should switch for the Bounty Hunter. If someone is destroyed in health or stress and you cannot heal in the end, that's the character you wanna switch for. If it happens that you get Bounty Hunter early on, then put mastery points into one character. For example, you put mastery points into Bolster and Retribution for Men-at-Arms, or Chop for Leper and Intimidate or something like that. And then you're gonna switch the character that doesn't have any mastery upgrades. Okay, that's the best way to use the Bounty Hunter, and that would be rule number 2. You exchange the weakest hero for the Bounty Hunter. Now, Bounty Hunter, he casts 4 candles. Okay, see, he's not that good for the beginners, okay? He's really not that good for the beginners because you wanna accumulate candles. Bounty Hunter ramps up after like 50 hours in the game, after a lot of farming. That's when he can save your runs. Now, I don't say don't try him, but make sure that you know what he's capable of. When is the best time to recruit the Bounty Hunter? When you're in the first inn, the very first inn, and you wanna go for the boss, the very first boss on the map.
The provinces
That's
and cantrips
when
of our
Bounty
land
Hunter is the
crumbling
best. Not on a
and
map 2,
undone.
not on a map 3, on a first map, and you rush for the boss. Okay, because he is very strong for the first map, and that's the easy way to accumulate relics, bubbles, candles, trinkets, and other consumables on the first map. Now, depends for whom I switch here for the Bounty Hunter. As I said, position 1 to 4, it really doesn't matter where you wanna place him. The builds change when you switch positions. In this case, we can go with position 4, because position 1 is easy to get, but we're gonna cover every build for every position.
He has no past, no future, no mercy.
The first thing that you should check when you recruit the Bounty Hunter is his item. his trinket and what he'll receive. Vengeful Kill List, for example, is great if you recruited Bounty Hunter on a third map, because the third map is the longest one. Here, it doesn't matter that much, because it's the first map. This would be all the skills for the Bounty Hunter. Now, if we're gonna play him on position number 4, this should be the build for position number 4. Come Hitter, Hurlbat for extra damage, No Escape for the stun, Flashbang for blind, daze and stun, and some damage over time with Cultists. If you got no tank in your team and no one to protect like Hellion, Man-at-Arms or Leper, then you might consider taking up Bodyguard on position 4 so you can defend squishy allies. The best spell to switch would be Flashbang for Bodyguard. Now, if Bounty Hunter is on a position number 3, he can be played in a lot of different ways, because this is his favorite spot, and all of this applies, okay? From Collect Bounty as a basic attack, to Mark for that, to remove armor from enemies or to make them vulnerable. Come Hitter to pull them and kill with a combo. Classic Stun, it's way too good to skip. And of course Finish Him, that deals 75% damage to dazed and stunned enemies. You can also play him as a Taunter on position number 3 if others can do all of this, and if they deal damage, all you need to do is switch these two and get a Stare Down and a Bodyguard. Now you have Taunt, you have Weaken, and you got Defend Allies. That's for position number 3. Same what I said for position number 3 goes for position number 2. Exactly the same builds. Okay. Now for position number 1, if your team can target position number 3 and 4 on enemies, then you should remove Come Hitter and go with a Bodyguard. So this should be your build. Okay, a Stun, Taunt, Protect, remove armor, mark, and classic basic attack. If your allies are bad at targeting position 3 and 4, then you should switch Bodyguard or Stare Down for Come Hitter on position number 1. Now to sum it all up quickly. Bounty Hunter, very good for map 1, because you can rush for the boss. Bounty Hunter covers all positions. Bounty Hunter lasts only for one map. Bounty Hunter is expensive for beginners. Bounty Hunter is a run saver for more experienced players once you farm up a bit. His animations are great, it's a very fun hero to play, and I wish that he was in a hero selection instead like this, but he is a X for hire, so he fits the lore well, if nothing else. Once you see him, take him and have fun. And one last thing, what are the best trinkets on a bounty hunt? Very simple. Flat resists, flat crit, flat damage. That's how easy it is. Do not sacrifice damage for HP. Okay, he can get stressed also, cause it doesn't matter. You're gonna ditch him on the next turn. So do whatever the hell you like, just have damage, crit, resists. Darkest Dungeon 2, the Inn Guide, aka how to respite properly. Let's not waste time, let's go. The first thing that you'll see when you arrive at the inn after the end of every map is quirks, positives and negatives that you're gonna get. That would be the Travelogue and the amount of loathing, as well as the map you're currently in, so on and so forth. The first thing that I recommend doing is checking out the type of the inn you're in. Some have discounts, some have positive relation chance, some give some negative things, some give stress relief, some give healing, and so on. So check the inn first you're currently in. Check the inn you're in. So after the Travelogue and after the type of inn, the first thing and how you'll prepare and what you'll do is checking out the route. I do it like that and I never forget to do a single thing when I'm in the inn. The route that you would like to pick if you're a beginner is always where the candles are. If you got enough candles and you unlocked all upgrades, of course, you're gonna hunt for trinkets and mastery points. Maps, for example, that provide additional academic caches, academic studies, or creatures, then they are extremely rare and also extremely valuable on your run, so pay attention what type of map you're gonna play. It doesn't matter whether it's the Tangle or the Sprawl, what matters is the modifier for the maps, nothing else. Check and see if you can get some rich map. Lock in the map you wish to play on, and then we use mastery. Reallocate points. You got how to reallocate points in my guides and so on. What I can say here, usually the most important thing for the first map, and that applies nearly for every team composition, you always have a tank or two. Okay, a Leper, Man-at-Arms, Carcass Hellion, and everyone basically that possesses Taunt. What you'll need is to upgrade, always upgrade, one skill with a Taunt, always, and one AoE skill that deals damage, okay, to multiple enemies. That's the most important thing to upgrade when you start the run in the very first inn. The rest doesn't matter that much. I told you what is most important and how you'll never fail. Taunt and AoE damage. Remember where to put those 2 points. After we're done with the mastery, the next thing that we need to do is the provisioner, and this is the most important thing. The first thing that you will always check are trinkets. So if there is a trinket that gives flat positives without negatives, okay, like this one, flat damage, flat crit, flat HP, flat stress resist, it's an instant buy. You do not look anything else. So this is an instant buy. After you check out trinkets, the next thing that you will gonna do is check out pets. Why pets? Every pet has a different passive, okay. One requires road gear, the other one requires food gear, the other one requires scouting gear, the next one requires luxury gear. And as you stack, okay, here in the Stagecoach it says scouting gear, medical gear, food gear, road gear. As you stack up, for example, scouting gear, it gives 2% crit chance per scouting gear. So every pet is different. So it's not like whether you're gonna, like you like medical gear and now you're gonna buy medical gear and you just got a pet with a scouting gear, for example. You want to buy scouting gear, no matter if it's bullshit or not. You want scouting gear, okay. In this case we cannot buy because I bought the trinket. It has more value, it's 20% flat damage. But if there were only blue trinkets here, you would insta buy scouting gear and equip on your Stagecoach. The next thing that you need to do is check out torches. You got radiant torches and infernal torches. Yellow radiants are easy mod, infernal blue purple torches are hard mod in the game. No torch would be the normal mod, simple as that. So after we're done with trinket checks, with flames checks, with pets and with Stagecoach, then we're gonna go to the Wainwright and we're gonna apply the torch, we're gonna apply the pet, and we're gonna apply the Stagecoach item if we have one. Make sure to always keep bubbles to repair your Stagecoach on every next inn. It is very important to have maximum amount of wheels and maximum amount of armor. That's everything you need to know about the Stagecoach. And of course, if you want to access the confession boss, or better say main chapter boss, you will need to kill a Lair boss. Lair bosses are bosses that are on specific maps: the Shroud, the Tangle, the Sprawl, and the Photor. So now, once we're done with these 4, the next thing that we're gonna check is the inn items. For the first inn, the only valuable item is those that remove negative quirks. This, okay. There are 2 items that can remove negative quirks. We're gonna check them out a bit later. Now we just talk. So you only and only buy an inn item that's going to remove a negative quirk and nothing else. I don't care if you like damage and crit. I don't care if you think how it's good to have bleeding on a specific map, bleeding resist or burn resist. It's not, okay. You're wasting your resources. The only way how and when you'll apply damage and defense buffs through the inn is before the confession boss in the final inn. As far as those 3 maps go, map 1, 2 and 3, you will play without a single damage and defense upgrade. This is the only way how you'll always finish the chapter. I know, because I've finished 100 chapters so far on both Radiant and Infernal Torch. Now, what about provisions? The only provisions that we're gonna need are the Glimmer of Hope for the Flame, Laudanum for stress relief, and if there is healing available, you will buy healing. Try not to use healing at all, try to conserve healing for the confession boss. No matter what type of healing it is, whether it's a trash kit or healing salve. Very useful items to have, maybe, for the mini bosses on maps 1, 2 and 3 would be smoke bombs, and you can buy those and keep them to actually blind the boss, so the boss of the map misses your heroes. That's how you play. For the monsters then, you wanna conserve traps and bombs, or better to say bombs that explode in AoE, that's gonna trigger all dodge and armor tokens in creatures then. And that's everything you need to know about provisions. Now we're gonna go and we're gonna check what items are good, what items you should avoid, and that would be that. After you're done with all of this, and in the order that I gave you, you go for the rest, off you go to the map. Simple as that. One small detail also here, where the picture of the darkest dungeon is, you'll always want to check if there is a bounty hunter available. If bounty hunter is available, you can rush for the boss on the very first map. That's why bounty hunter is for, after all, in this game. Now, how to know what items are good between combat items, in items, trinkets and everything basically that exists in the game. This is 100% unlocked all items in a game. Over here, this is everything that basically exists. To have more help about the respite and about the in items, I would recommend you that you watch my guide for the Recollection. That's how the name of the guide is, the Recollection Guide. You just type Darkest Dungeon 2 Recollection Guide, and every item that you see is explained and what it does and on what hero is the best when applied. For both in items, combat items, all trinkets, stagecoach items, everything that you can think about is in the Recollection Guide. Darkest Dungeon 2, all items in a game, in items, combat items, consumables, trinkets, everything that exists. We're gonna pass through each one and I'll tell you when to use it, what is it for, and how to play with those items properly. First of all, I'll show you the scale of all items in the game under all items tab. Now let's go to currency and provisions. Candles. With candles, you upgrade stuff at the Altar of Hope. You can check my guide for the Altar of Hope for that. Probably the most important thing for a new player is to accumulate as many candles as you can. Bubbles. With bubbles, you're gonna buy trinkets and you will repair your stagecoach as well as buying stagecoach items. So bubbles are extremely important in the game. You can easily call it the secondary currency in the game. Primary currency would be relics. With relics, you're gonna buy combat items and in items in the game. You will accumulate relics and bubbles by killing monsters, looting, and of course traversing the world map. Items like this, unique items, you're gonna get them at the monsters den, and they usually provide mastery point, different discounts at the end, stress heal, and so on. Once you see a monsters den, this is what you wanna do. Do it immediately to receive these beautiful deliverable items in the end. If your hero dies, one of your hero, if they die and you still reach the end, you will be able to receive 4 candles. There are many specific treasures along the way. This one is one of the best. Clear, straight 50 relics if you deliver the strong box to the end. Easily from monsters then you can get discount on combat and in items, on trinkets, you can stress heal, and you can remove diseases. Now up we go to combat items. As you can tell, there's a lot. I'll pass through each one and explain what they do. Resist burn, extremely useful in the sprawl, where enemies deal a lot of burn damage. Adrenaline tonic, straight up heals 50, very good item. If you see it, you should buy it. Anti-Venom, small heal, removes disease. If you play without Plague Doctor in the team, you need to have some anti-venom in your stash. Same can be said about bandages, only they remove bleeding. Bandages are extremely useful against cosmic enemies in the game. Now, as far as traps and bombs go, these are all traps and bombs, okay, all of these, that. How do you use them? Usually use them on a first or a second character that needs to nuke down the first in a row to remove armor, to remove dodge, especially dodge from enemies, so you can actually hit them. So you should always conserve them when enemies have dodge tokens. Remember, that's what traps and bombs do. Some of the items, like serrated weapon, like a bone saw, can be combined with a trinket, and then it deals even more bleed damage. Remove fire does the same thing as bandages and venom. Remove stealth is quite useless, only counts for like 3 enemies in a game in total, alright? You don't need it. Like, if you don't have anything else to use, you can use Shulk Dust, but just forget that it exists. If you need space in your inventory, melt it down. I can say the same thing about this one. It may be useful against cosmic enemies if you taunt, for example, with Men-at-Arms, and then you put this on him, he cannot bleed. Plus, he's gonna soak up a lot of damage from armor. One of the best items in the game would be Crow's Feet. The strap is absolutely hilarious, I love it. Deathcap Spores, nuke down resists of enemies, quite useless to be honest, they're far better consumables. If you don't have anything else to use, then you can use Deathcap Spores. Incendiary Cocktail, or better to say Molotov, very good item, extremely good against the bosses. One of the best grenades in the game would be Greek Fire, absolutely crazy. Keep it when you enter Monster's Den or where you fight cosmic enemies. Do not use for regular mobs. Fisherman's Net. Fisherman's Net is quite useless unless you have a good trinket that's gonna merge with Fisherman's Net. Later about it when we reach trinkets. The best item in the game by far would be a healing salve, and you can stack up to 2, and you can use 2 healing salves at the same time. When you see a healing salve, you insta buy. No second thoughts about it. You want to keep healing salves for the final boss of the act, no matter what act you play in. Exactly the same can be said about Triage Kit, but you can only have 1. You can't equip 2. One small trick. Why is it better with 2 healing salves than with 1 Triage Kit, even though this is a better heal? Once you're on a death's door, you can apply and save a unit twice on a death's door. With this one, you can only save it once. So healing salve wins over Triage Kit. I can dare say that even Adrenaline Tonic wins over the Triage Kit, even though it deals +1 stress. Holy Water, very nice, you can easily use it, you don't need to save it, good on a Leper, good on everyone that has negative tokens basically. Now, same what I said for Incendiary Cocktail, same applies for the Ichor Bomb. Great on bosses. Invigorating Intoxicant is great on the characters that refuse to die, so they gonna refuse to die even more. Characters that refuse to die, or better to say heroes that refuse to die and that can profit out of Invigorating Intoxicant, would be Flagellant, Leper, and Hellion. Those 3 are absolutely indestructible, and they do profit out of this when you fight the boss. The next one, and probably the best one, an absolute must, along with a healing salve and a torch, Laudanum is the best thing in the game. When you see Laudanum, you buy at the max and you insta stress heal. Even if you have 1-2 points of stress, you're gonna use Laudanum during the fight. You'll be stress free when you reach the end of the map if you use Laudanum non-stop. The next one would be Makeshift Javelin. Great item, very expensive. If you can get it for free somehow, if you can loot it, then use it. Do not buy, you can buy better stuff. Right now it's very expensive. Medicinal Herbs. If you got healers in your team, Vestal, Plague Doctor, Flagellant, Runaway, you don't need Medicinal Herbs. If you play without a healer, then you will need Medicinal Herbs. I can say exactly the same thing about the neutralizing powders. They are doing the same, exactly the same thing as clothing powders and all other powders in the game. If you ask me, useless items. Noisemaker, one of the better items in the game. I absolutely love Noisemaker. Gives taunt, gives armor, apply that on your tank, and the rest of your party will be safe, especially when your tank's taunt is on a cooldown. Basically, what Noisemaker does, you can non-stop taunt for like 2-3 rounds in a row while you're on a cooldown. Very good on Men-at-Arms, on Leper, on Carcass Hellion, absolutely great item. Linseed Oil Flask, useless item. Otherworldly Fragment, absolutely great item, nothing to say about it, keep it for the bosses, it's crazy good. And very rare. Pouch of Lie. Party clears corpses. If you don't have clear corpses in your party, and Leper provides clear corpses, Plague Doctor provides clear corpses, Occultist provides clear corpses. If you play without, then you need this one from time to time. Pyrotechnic Dazzler, crazy good item, you can stun enemies with it, it happens quite often too, absolutely great item. Milk Soaked Linen, very good when you have Leper in your team, so you can remove blind from your Leper. The next one would be Scrap Grenade. All grenades in the game are absolutely crazy good to have, including this one. Shimmering Powder, good for units that can profit from stealth, like the Grave Robber. Other than that, absolute garbage. Shred of Decency, good against cosmic enemies, so you can remove their OP buffs and they gonna hurt less. Smelling Salts, very good to remove stun from your allies, especially good against the first chapter boss in the game that can stun lock you. Smoke Bomb used to be my favorite in early access, it's still good, but it's not as strong as it used to be. Still, very good item, especially bosses, especially for example against Librarian or against Exemplar, you know, annoying things in a game, it's very good to blind them with a smoke bomb. Ethereal Dust, very few skills in a game are important, like play again with a Jester, count twice with a Leper, long cooldown skills basically, those that are useful once, and if you got a team composition for this item then it's a good item, otherwise it's useless. Spike Ball, Trap, nothing to say about it, great against bosses. Mineral Rich Spring Water, you can find it only in Oasis, and it's one of the best items in the game, especially because it has heal, you can save someone on a death's door, and you can remove 3 points of stress. One of the better items in the game. Speaking about one of the better items in the game, there's Stimulants, let up damage if you see someone with a crit token, for example like Leper or Highwayman, and you apply Stimulants, prepare to see huge crits, 70 plus and above. Speaking about huge crits, the Blood is crazy good, because it gives crits, damage and speed. You're gonna hurt like crazy with the Blood. Thunderclap Grenade, shuffle and stun enemies, the entire row of enemies, one of the best items in the game. Glimmer of Hope, absolutely must. You need to buy Glimmer of Hope wherever you can. You're gonna need like 2 to 4 Glimmers of Hope per map. There's 3 maps in total, if we include bonus map, the Sluice. Let's say that you will need around 12 Glimmers of Hope to finish the entire chapter, no matter if you play on Infernal or Light runs, Radiant runs. Toxic Ichor, pretty much useless. Spore Grenade, as I said, all grenades are great. Warhorn is probably the best item that you can equip before fighting the boss, because the entire party will get damage up for 2 rounds in a row. Crazy good. Wilbur's Flag, quite useless item, maybe good against bosses if you wanna use Finale with Jester, okay, or Execute with a Bounty Hunter, then it's solid, because it gives vulnerable and combo, but very few heroes profit out of it. So what are the best combat items in a game? Any grenade or a trap as the first one, Glimmer of Hope as the second one, Healing Salve as the third one, Laudanum as the fourth one, and Warhorn as the fifth one. What you need to learn is what to use and when. Some things you need to insta-use, and some things you need to conserve all the way for the very end. Let's go to in items. Armor Repair Kit, you only gonna keep this one for the mountain before the final boss. Blasphemous Idol, same goes for Blasphemous Idol, you will keep it for the final boss. Confession Boss, Chapter Boss. Book of Bawdy Tales, -6 stress, useful if you get stressed out completely. I never use this item in my life, but I guess it can be useful if you get stressed out. My Time in the Desert, round starts, stealth 5% chance, good on a Grave Robber. Book of Creative Insults, round starts with Taunt, 5% chance, great on tanky characters, on Hellion, on Leper, on Men-at-Arms, or on dodgy characters, especially if you receive like starting quirks with dodge plus, regular dodge, armor, or armor plus. This is when you want to apply Book of Creative Insults. Poetry, when you see the yellow one, positive relation, Those are the best teen items, cause you want positive relations on everyone. -4 stress is great, but positive relation is even better. Boxing gloves only use before the main boss, or better to say for the final chapter boss. Calming incest, very good on every respite that you can get to remove stress. Candles and chocolate, absolutely hilarious, great, good item, very rare, but very, very good, straight up 3 positive relation. Clarifying poultice, only use before the final boss. Clothing poultice, same can be said about it. Dartboard, only use at a mountain when you reach the end. Ceremonial drum, move resist, that's very good on your tank, you can use it non-stop whenever you have it, of course, probably on spot number 1 where your main tank will be. Experimental remedy, Plague Doctor, heal and remove a negative quirk on a party. When you get it, it's absolutely crazy good, heals completely and removes disease and removes a negative quirk. Absolutely crazy good item. Slime mold, better to not eat at all than using slime mold. Only and only use slime mold when you have disease resist on your trinkets. So pay attention to equip disease resist on your trinkets, use a slime mold, remove disease resist trinket, and then use slime mold on the other character if you have to eat slime mold. Bread, apples and cheese, steak and spuds, flapjacks, basically food items are extremely good. I would only keep steak and spuds for the final map. The rest you can use along the way. Guided meditation, occultist buff, use it whenever you like. Best to keep for the final boss. Holy beads, only use for the final boss. The mountain, better to say use it at the last inn. Holy hymnal, Vestal gives 25% HP to the entire party. Crazy good, use at the mountain. Impermeable poultice, again use at the mountain on Man-at-Arms. When he protects someone, receives 25% damage until the next inn. Use it whenever you like, best to be used for the final boss. Leeches, removes a disease. When you see it, when you can grab this one, you can remove disease in the inn. Meditative totem, if you see and you got relics for 5 of them and 5 of them are on sale, you're gonna buy all 5 and you're gonna risk to remove every negative quirk that you can remove during the respite. One of the best items in the game as far as inn items go. Map and bucket, use on the mountain before the final boss. Morbid joke, Highwayman, extremely good item, use it whenever you like. There's a very good chance that you will receive 6 positive tokens on a relation and 20% chance to receive 4 negative. Good luck. Nightshade concoction, gives death resist. Who to use it for? You're gonna use this one on a Leper, on a Hellion, or on a Flagellant. Characters that refuse to die, so they can be resistant even more to death. And you're gonna use this one before the final boss at the mountain. Oddly tuned loot, Jester, -10 stress to the entire party and 10 stress resist until the next inn. Use it immediately, it's good for that 10 additional stress resist in a game. Pipeweed, if you got items, trinkets that gonna benefit out of less than 2 move speed, then it's good to use this one. First of all, you stress heal, second of all, you get positive relation, and third, you can proc some passives from trinkets if you lower the speed. Playing cards, when you have them, use them immediately. 75% chance for a positive relation. Restorative herbs, use them immediately, especially on map 2 and 3, cause those are the longest maps. Roast pig, one if not the best item in the game. All hero pairs, +1 relation, -2 stress, absolutely great. Songbook of Amorous Ballads, use it immediately when you can, good chance of a positive relation, 3 points. Songbook of Touching Dirges, use this one first for 2 positive relation chance, 80%, and if all receive +1 stress in combination with a pig, this one boosts stress. You can use 2 books at the same time if you can find them and buy them, and often you will be able to do it, and then you apply pig, so +2 stress, -2 stress. This goes +4 relation, +5, and you got excellent relations among your characters. That's the combo basically, Songbook into a pig. There is also another combo with a Songbook of Rousing Tunes that gives speed and removes stress. So 2 of these and 2 of these negate stress. Shooting Poultice, use it before the final boss. or you can use this one when entering the sprawl. Speed bag used before the final boss. You wanna use speed bag on your squishes, on Plague Doctor, on Jester, on Runaway, definitely on squishes. Squishes need dodge. Invigorating stew, party food. If you don't have other food, you can use invigorating stew. Pay attention on speed, it can be a buff or a debuff, depends on your trinkets. Stimulating poultice, those that got trinkets for extra speed. This one can proc those passives, use when you have trinkets that can actually benefit out of the speed. Stitching kit heals 20%. I would argue that this is an absolutely useless item. It should heal at least 50%. The current price on a stitching kit is absolutely hilarious. Avoid it like plague. Starfield Columber, great on a Runaway. I would keep it for the final boss though. The very best on a Grave Robber, straight up 10% crit chance, use it before the final boss of the chapter, or better to say in the final inn before the mountain. Tinned Delicacies, another food item, the best food item in the game by far, use this before the boss. Knotted Tug Rope, round starts with damage up, 2 characters, use on the damage dealers, use this one before the final boss, or if you decide to go on a map boss, second, third map. Warpaint, Hellion, receives damage if rank 1 or 2, use before the final boss. Hellion will hurt a lot with this item. Vex Inoculant, when you see it, use it immediately. You want to use this one on a character that provides taunt. Man-at-Arms, Carcass Hellion, Leper, Flagellant, so when they get hit, they actually resist disease. Whetstone gives straight up 100% crit, 5% chance to happen, use before the final boss of the chapter. Whiskey Barrel, great item, use it immediately if you can. Whiskey Bottle, same as I said for the barrel, use whenever you can. Whiskey Flask, absolutely great, cheap, use immediately to boost relation. Whittling Tools, -3 stress, keep and use when you get stressed out. Wild Tea, one of the best items in a game. It 100% removes a negative quirk, and there's a 25% chance it's gonna remove a positive quirk. One of the best items in the game would be Wild Tea. Top 5 in items in the game. Blasphemous Idol as the first one, Candles and Chocolate as the second one, Meditative Totem as the third one, Wild Tea as the fourth one, Roast Pig as the fifth one. Now let's go to trinkets. There's a lot of trinkets in the game, really a lot. First would be Celebrated Chalice, crazy good if you're rich. Relics and Bubbles need to be above 50 for speed and crit. Absolutely great item, one of the best in the game. Clarifying Carcanet, if Relics and Bubbles, upgraded Chalice basically, if Relics and Bubbles are above 75, you get max HP and max damage. If you can combine these two on the same character, that character is the strongest character in the game, simple as that. 2 best items in the game, these 2. The next one would be Cleansing Clasp. If bubbles in inventory above 25, you remove a negative token. Great on a Leper to remove blind. Shimmering Crown. Combat starts if relics in inventory are above 100, and if bubbles are above 100, heal up completely and completely remove stress. You only equip this item once you need a heal or once you're stressed out before the combat. And you're gonna switch this one from character to character, depends on the situation of course. You need to be mega rich for this to work, by the way. That's Hand, great before the final boss. It removes all negative tokens, Blight, Bleed and Burn on a death's door. Bone Mallet, only good when you got stunners in your team, and if Flame is under 40 you can daze and then stun more easily, because daze turns into stun. Covered Cloak, if Flame is below 40 there's a 66% chance you're gonna get stealth. Range skills will probably kill the enemy on a death's door. Good on a Grave Robber, good on a Runaway. Goading Gargoyle, it converts blind to damage. If Flame is under 40 you get +4 speed. This is the best item that you can equip on a Tempest Leper, by far. Peculiar Pods, completely useless item, avoid it. Big Sticker, great on a Grave Robber, great on a Runaway, even good on a Hellion and every other character that can proc combo into crit. Rousing Recorder, one of the best items in a game, because it adds a positive token. 33% chance on every turn start. Rousing Ringer, good on the characters that have taunt, like Man-at-Arms, Leper, Flagellant, Hellion. You get a point. Sneaker Standard, good if you have Grave Robber and a Runaway in your team. Staggering Striker, mostly good on characters that can profit out of combo, like Bounty Hunter, like Leper. And for that, you need Flame below 40, which is very hard to get. On a Death's Door, this item works well on a Highwayman, because that would be like a 100% chance to execute an enemy. Vanished Vanity, absolutely great item on everyone that has Taunt. Man-at-Arms, Leper, Flagellant, Carcass Hellion. Shard Litany, very good item on a Plague Doctor and on a Runaway. Smoldering Hymnal, very good on a Runaway or on every character that's gonna play first in a turn order because of a damage buff. Enlightening Element, basically good on everyone, very good on a Vanguard Man-at-Arms. When he taunts and retaliates, he can apply burn on all characters, he can below with burn. Characters that cover everything can also burn up enemies on a hit. For example, a smoke screen from the Runaway or AoE burn from the Plague Doctor. Additional burn with this can be procced. So good AoE skills can proc a lot from this. Hastening History, speed on a turn end. You can apply if you don't have anything else. Laden Lantern is only good if you are in a sprawl. Other than that, you don't need this item. Pairing Patriarch converts dodge to dodge plus. Very good on Runaway, on Jester, on Grave Robber, mostly on squishes that have dodge token. Sacred Scribblings, great on a Runaway and a Plague Doctor. Snappy Swig, great on a Runaway and a Plague Doctor. Now, Tinderbox, if flammable item is equipped, it really hurts a lot, especially on a Plague Doctor and a Runaway. One of the best items in the game for those two, but you need a flammable item. What's a flammable item? Flammable item is a combat item that says flammable, like Incendiary Cocktail, like Greek Fire. The next one would be Card Botkin. Good on a Leper, good on a Hellion. If you bleed, 20% chance for extra action. Leper and Hellion can bleed on their own. Clasp Knife, good on any character that can deal bleed damage. Plague Doctor, Highwayman, Hellion, Occultist, Fisherman's Line. If you're able to equip a Fisherman's Net and any serrated item, you can stun or bleed. Absolutely crazy good item, but you need a lot of luck to combine these two to actually work. Fishmonger Gloves, again, if you equip serrated item, extra bleed. Told you who bleeds here. Hellion, Highwayman, Plague Doctor, Jester, good on any of them if you play with a bleed build. Again, for the bleed build, Leather Strap on all of those heroes. Nautical Compass is one of the best items in the game. On a turn end, a random positive token or 20% chance for 1 point of stress. Absolutely great item. One of the best. Goes well on every single hero in the game. Pristine Lure, great on taunters cause you get additional taunt. Taunters are Leper, Hellion, Man-at-Arms, Flagellant, absolutely great item. Seaman Boots, everyone can profit out of Seaman Boots, especially characters, fast characters like Leper and Grave Robber. Cruel Intent, great on a Leper to crit non-stop. Hardened Heart, I would avoid this item even though it provides a lot of resist, you can equip better. Idle Thought, good if you know how to burst in the first 2 or 3 rounds. After that, there's gonna be problems if you're unable to burst enemies. Jealous Whisper is so freaking great, and it's only great on a Jester. Jester profits like crazy out of Jealous Whisper. Now, as far as stained item goes, flat resists, bleed, blight, burn, all of this that provide flat resists are whatever. You can play without them. The good one is Healing Given on healing characters. Characters that can provide healing, like Plague Doctor, like Runaway, like Vestal. Move Resist, great on a Poet Leper, for example, because he's already got move resist and this is additional, so he cannot be moved ever by anyone. Stress Resist, this Dark Impulse with Stress Resist, combined with a pet that provides Stress Resist, and combined with items, also Trinkets, that provide Stress Resist, like this one. Once you apply them on, for example, Flagellant, he will remove stress out of your heroes, and he will transfer stress to himself, but he will negate stress if you equip all of these trinkets. So basically, he clears stress and negates his own stress. Extremely good item on a Flagellant. And the last one for the stun resist, that one is also whatever, it can help a bit against the final boss of chapter 1. Lockjaw, you can easily put this one on a Plague Doctor. It's very good actually on a Plague Doctor. Misstep, good on a Poet Leper, good on Men-at-Arms, good on tanks. Okay, those that don't deal damage, that just soak up damage. When you play on Infernal, Selfish Motivation is great, because you're gonna receive negative tokens on Infernal runs, and this one provides additional damage per negative token. It's actually good, but only on Infernal runs. If you're diseased and if you taunt an enemy, when they hit you, you apply 6 Blight. Actually very good, but you need to keep the disease on. Silent Treatment, good on Runaway, great on a Grave Robber. Snap Judgment, great on fast characters. On a Grave Robber, on a Jester, on Runaway, they can profit a lot out of Snap Judgment. Spoken Sharply can keep you out of the Death's Door. Can be good on every single hero. Temptation is probably one of the best items in a game. The reason is very simple, it provides extra action. You play twice during a round. It's like it has no value, that's how good it is. Wounding Words, great item, but you need to know what you're doing. You need to protect your squishy to actually deal damage. You need to protect him with taunts, with guard, with everything that you have, and you're gonna deal a lot of damage when you equip this one. Anatomical Map is only great on Infernal runs, nothing else. Astroglass Flute is a garbage item, melt and avoid. Befuddling Sundial, another garbage, melt and avoid. Better to equip nothing than to equip this. Caked Palette, copy a positive token, 80% chance, that's very good and it works on absolutely every hero. If you play with a Plague Doctor in your team, you can apply Corrupted Bile Gland on any character in your team, including the Plague Doctor, and then it's a great item. If you play without a Plague Doctor, then you should not equip Corrupted Bile Gland. Faceless Visage. Each enemy on combat starts will shuffle, and each hero on combat start will shuffle. This is a full troll trinket. It should be free from the very start of the game. If you want to have, I wouldn't call that fun. If you want to have an agonizing run full of laughs, and if you know how to laugh instead of rage, then you're gonna play with Faceless Visage. This item for serious play is just insta melt. It's there for laughs. A Heart-Shaped Padlock, Resolute Chance. On Resolute adds 2 positive tokens. Resolute happens very rare. Okay, very rare. There is a chance add-on here. But if you know how to play the game, you won't even get into a meltdown, you won't get stressed out, alright? I rarely get stressed out, maybe once in every 10 hours of play. This item is garbage. Another garbage is a Murder Weapon. I play-tested Murder Weapon for over 7 hours in a row, and I applied, I don't know how many crits, AoE crits. It never ever procced instant kill. And there is a 15% chance that it's gonna proc instant kill on a crit. Never happened in 7 hours. Complete trash of a weapon. It doesn't even work. Obsidian Drone Pipe, one of the best items in the game. 33% chance to stun an enemy on every turn start, and only 10% chance to stun one of your own. Enemies will be stunned non-stop. What's the best out of the soul? You can stun a boss. Resist, stun resist doesn't work against this item. So you can easily stun main chapter boss. Final boss, map boss, it doesn't matter. You can stun every single enemy that exists. One of the best items in the game. Best trinkets. Oversprung Pocket Watch. Extra action 50% chance or stun 50% chance. That's hilarious. Trade off. Melt it when you see it. It ain't worth it. It can ruin your entire run. Just a big no. Proxy Doll, absolutely great item if you know how to control negative tokens. Pulsing Heart, heal or bleed, I would say melt it down when you find it. You don't need to use this one, there's really no need. Maybe, just maybe, you can profit on a Hellion or on a Leper, a Ruin Leper with this Pulsing Heart, but that's about it, okay? In all other cases, melt it down if you play without those two. True Entropy adds a random token, complete gamble, whether it's gonna be a positive or a negative. I would say melt it down. is garbage. The next item would be Ghastly Cruel. Each hero on a round end will heal for 2, 33% chance to happen, and you get healing received or healing given on a Plague Doctor, on a Runaway, on a spot number 4, or if it's Vestal that heals, they gonna heal like crazy. If you put Flagellant on spot number 1 and apply this trinket, he's gonna heal like crazy, and each hero can gain heal 33% chance. Very good item. Merges well with a lot of heroes. Kitchen Knives. I don't know who is it better for the Plague Doctor or for Flagellant. In both cases, this item is probably the best that you can equip. Same can be said about Brilliant Brew, slightly weaker version of Kitchen Knives. Also, Kitchen Knives work well on a Grave Robber. So it's Grave Robber, Flagellant, and Plague Doctor. Same can be said about Brilliant Brew. Good items, both. And same can be said about Corrupting Cleaver. Again, those three profit like crazy out of Plague Blight. Urine Kupa and Galvanizing Goblet are both great on everyone that deals Plague. Flagellant, Grave Robber, Plague Doctor, Hex Horde, Healing Received per positive token. You can easily ditch this one. Hint of Home, good with characters that have Taunt. Poison Ring, if you got noxious items, and noxious items are, for example, Ichor Bomb, it can be extremely good on Flagellant, on Plague Doctor, on a Grave Robber. Armory Key is a great item, especially when you equip both armor and weapon. That's like maximum HP or maximum damage 20% flat. Just amazing item to have on nearly every character. Blistering Bugle, whatever. It gives Taunt. So, tricky item because you can give Taunt to other characters as well. If you have something that's gonna give armor up to the entire team, like this one gives Taunt, then they merge well, because you get Taunt on everyone and armor up. Footman Grog is good on every freaking character, especially on Infernal runs, because it converts vulnerable and damage down to armor up and damage plus. Reverberating Redoubt, great on Men-at-Arms, absolutely great on all characters basically, with Taunt. Leper 2, you get a chance for extra action, you just need to lower their speed and you're good to go. Calibrating Sensor is great on a Grave Robber or a Jester. Clenching Claws, one of the best items, if not the best, in the entire game as far as tanks go. Men-at-Arms, Leper, Hellion Carcass, they all profit so freaking much out of this thing. You can stun enemies, you can make them vulnerable, you gonna get immobilized, you can get shuffled, okay, if you reduce speed. Absolutely great item. Now, my favorite items in the game is Insulating Insignia and Stone Mount. Why? Very simple. One will give armor to all characters, 33% chance, and the other one will convert that armor into armor plus. That combo is absolutely brutal. You cannot die with this combo when you have these trinkets in your team. Now, same can be said about Unwavering Standard. It also merges extremely well with this too, because now each hero on a combat start will receive armor. So you got on a turn start, on a combat start, and turn that armor into an armor plus. Those three are not that expensive too, you can buy them for cheap, and they merge extremely well with each other. Adrenalizing Ash, better to not equip anything at all than this item. Bulwark Band, better to not equip anything at all than this item. Same can be said about Butt Stressing Band, same can be said about Clandestine Cape, same can be said about Deadringer, and same can be said about Disarming Dagger, as well as Distracting Dust. So these items, okay, better to not equip anything at all than to equip them. I'm dead serious. Gnarly Knuckles is extremely good on every melee character, especially characters like Highwayman, Leper, and so on, Hellion. Now, as far as Raven's Reach goes, it can merge well with a Grave Robber, it can merge well, for example, with a ranged Bounty Hunter, and so on. This one, avoided like plague, melted down, Guarding Gauntlet. Same can be said about Steering Snuff, all of that is a melt. Strange Sepper is a melt, Strong Shackles is a melt. All of those items are absolute garbage. The only two that are of good value would be Raven's Reach and Gnarly Knuckles. If you plan to go solo, Thrilling Tablet will give 100% damage per missing hero and 100% maximum HP per missing hero. One of the best characters to go solo with would be the Leper. If you by any chance start with 4, okay, and you find this item, try to kill off everyone else and put this on a Leper. He can solo bosses on its own. Now what we got are items that are specific for each subclass of a hero. The first one would be a Bounty Hunter. This Crime Lord's Maulers is for the melee Bounty Hunter. I will give guides for every single class and subclass in a game. Crime Lord's Maulers are for melee Bounty Hunter. Utility Belt is for utility Bounty Hunter, the one that's dazing and stunning enemies. Hurlbat, aside from a stun, will also apply damage down when you have this one. An Avengeful Kill list, if you execute enemies, you get damage up and up and up. He becomes more and more powerful by every kill he makes, good on every type of Bounty Hunter. Emancipation for the Flagellant, damage dealing trinket. Once low on HP, you hurt more, simple as that. Punish steals positive tokens from enemies. Plague, or better to say Blight, Flagellant will profit the most out of this one, his prison. What's even funnier, more taunt skill will also receive a damage buff. For the full utility support Flagellant, Searing Scripture is a very good item. Now for a stealth grave robber, pirouette, lunge, flashing daggers into back row stealth, you will receive additional damage and you will be stealthed non-stop with Foreclosure Notice. One of the best items in the game, class specific items, would be his rings for the Venom drop grave robber. Basically your Venom darts will hurt more. Stiff Drink is for the melee grave robber. She is extremely squishy, you're gonna rely on dodge. If you get hit, you can get insta one-shotted, so good luck if you wanna play her as a melee. Blooded Branch was made for the bleed build on Hellion. Empty Stain Carcass can profit out of Empty Stain Trinket. And if you're gonna have a party that's shuffling non-stop, okay, with other heroes, then Rotten Tomato is a great trinket to have on a Hellion. Cursed Coin is absolutely great on a rogue Highwayman, rogue subclass, non-stop damage per positive token, and you're gonna have a lot of positive tokens in a game. Red Skull was made if you wanna make a tank out of a Highwayman. I would not recommend that one. I mean, yes, it gives crit, 66% chance for a crit, but frankly, better to melt this down than to play with it. At the end, we got Tormenting Locket for the Highwayman. This is for the bleed build, bleed subclass of a Highwayman, extremely good item. Now we go to Jester. Busker's Hole is very simple. This is solo finale Jester. Solo gives you crit, you end up on a spot number 1, then an ally receives a positive token, you use finale, and you're back in the 4th spot. That's how you play with a Busker's Hole. Royal Summons is great with Fade to Black and similar. I mean, Jester moves the most out of all heroes in the game, so you're gonna have a good chance to receive a crit token on every single turn. Very good thing also when you use solo and finale on a Jester, you're gonna end up on a spot number 4, you're gonna taunt with dodge plus. Very good trinket on a Jester. Multiple ways how you can play the Jester with this Royal Summons. The last one, Severed Finger, is for the Bleed Jester, Slice Off Jester. You apply additional bleed to enemies. Very simple, you do not move that Jester, he remains on spot number 3 or 2. Now we go to Leper, a simple flower. On a move resist, gives heal, on a stun resist, gives armor plus. This one is only valid on a Poet subclass for a Leper. Inevitable End is for the fast Leper, where break skills cannot gain armor. Very tricky one to play with, I would say avoid this one. Uncommon Seashell, minus 10% damage taken per negative token, extremely good item on a Leper, but only on Infernal runs. This is basically a tank Leper that's gonna play with Ruin and boost up his damage with Ruin, while soaking up all of that damage from enemies. Now we go to the Man-at-Arms, Price of Pride. Gain armor plus when hit, below can stun, and it's AoE. One of the best trinkets in the game, by far, is Price of Pride on Man-at-Arms. Another one of the best trinkets in the game would be Standard of the Ninth. I can't even decide which one is better, to be honest, they're both freaking great, they work well with a Vanguard. Both of them Vanguard subclass for men-at-arms profits the most out of them, and you can also play with other subclasses if you plan to go with Courageous Abandon. That's nerfed for the full release, by the way. The last trinket, undeserved commendation, is for the Bolster Men-at-Arms. This trinket provides additional health on spot number 2, and you buff your allies and protect them with different skills. These two are just better on a Vanguard, it's more aggressive play and you still have a taunt. This one, you will need a specific team composition if you want to play with this trinket. The next one would be Occultist. If target is on fire, healing given. Stars need to align for this trinket to work. In other words, it's garbage. Converts vulnerable to his ultimate. Again, stars need to align for this to work on Occultist. It's garbage. And a Shambler's Eye on Occultist. Maybe you can profit out of it with a Warlock. Damage dealt per stress. You get 6-7 stress. That's like 60-70% damage per stress. Not bad at all. But still, stars need to align for Occultist to actually work in this game. I know because I played a lot, especially with Occultist. The next in line would be Annotated Textbook. Plague Doctor, Melee Plague Doctor, or better to say Surgeon Plague Doctor. Only if you play with a Surgeon subclass, this one is valid. Early Experiment, absolutely great on an Alchemist subclass for the Plague Doctor. You deal amazing amount of damage, especially if you equip a Noxious item. And the last one, Storage Room Key, is for utility, or better to say, this one is for Buffer Plague Doctor. If you decide to play him like that, her like that, of course, then this is a very good trinket. The next one would be Runaway. If you're stealthed, you receive a crit. Heartlight gives combo. Good on a Runaway that's gonna switch positions and go into stealth. But most of the people will play Runaway to burn enemies. Speaking about burn, this is the best trinket that you can get on a Runaway. It doesn't matter if it's a subclass of Arsonist or an Orphan, you're gonna hurt a lot when you apply this. If you want to play with a tricky Runaway, Pile of Ash that gives dodge plus is very good if you're gonna move behind non-stop with stealth. Icon of Light for the Vestal gives additional healing. Good trinket on a Vestal, classic I would say. Profane Scroll is for the Taunter Tank Vestal, position number 1 and 2. If you apply position 1, then you're a taunt tank. If you apply position 2, then you deal melee damage. Your choice of how you wanna play this. For the utility Vestal, the one that deals damage from the back rows, you can illuminate enemies, or better to say, put them on fire. If you equip a flammable item, you're gonna hurt even more. Interesting build on a Vestal is with this trinket if you can get it. Fate's Foreteller, if you don't have any other trinket to use, you can use this one on any character. Inert Indicia, if you don't have any other trinket, again, you can use it on any character. Now, Mortal Ward is absolutely great for the final chapter, or better to say, for the final boss. On a Death's Door, you will receive a crit, a dodge plus, and you're gonna remove 2 points of stress. Very good on every single character in a game. Prodding Pendant, absolutely great on every single character in a game. There is a chance for a straight heal on a stress damage. Whenever you resist Bleed, Blight and Burn, Skeleton Sight will remove 2 points of stress. Good on all characters. Sparkle Ball is one of the best trinkets in a game by far. Very simple, apply on hit all negative tokens that exist in a game. Absolutely crazy good item, merges extremely well with characters that can damage full line of enemies, not only with one skill. It also merges well with riposte heroes. Eyes of the Void, if stress 555, deal, blight, burn and bleed. Stars need to align for this one to work, so melt it when you see it. There is no way it's gonna work. I tested it multiple times, it only happened once in I don't know how many hours. From Beyond, you refuse to die when you equip this item, good for the final boss of the chapter. Hierarchy of Sights, again good for the final boss of the chapter, no matter who you're gonna give this trinket to. Unblinking Entropy, very good item, no matter what character equips this one. Appalling Apron, very good item on a healer, on a Vestal, on a Plague Doctor, on a Runaway, on spot number 4. You will need to protect them with taunts though. Spiked Skullcap, great item if you equip a Bonesaw, and of course it only works on bleeders. Bleeders would be Hellion, Highwayman, Plague Doctor, and so on. And now we go to the classic items, most common items. Okay, they got white version, blue version, and golden version without negatives. All of these. I'll only transfer to golden versions because other versions ain't that good. You can equip them, of course, on every character, but we only gonna pass through golden ones and tell you what's gonna work for the end and what's not. The best one by far is the Greater Gilded Mind. It doesn't matter what version of Gilded Mind you plan to use, Gilded Mind is absolutely great. A must. After that one, it's a straight crit, and after that one, it's a straight damage trinket. Those three are absolutely insane. This one, you can always use it before eating mold, so you resist disease and then you switch for something else. As far as flat resists go, like Greater Hit Shield and Greater Sacrificial Host, and there is another one, I think. This one is good on a Poet Leper, for example. You do not need those, okay? Flat resists, you really don't need them. You can use something else, something more useful. This is very good on healers, on Plague Doctor, on Vestal, and so on. Better healing given. And characters that gonna require speed to trigger other trinkets passives. Wolf's Blood is very good. So, these trinkets you will see most often in a game, especially blue versions. They're all good in their own way, alright? But I told you what's absolutely the best. It's Gilded Mind. It protects you from death and it gives you stress resist. Darkest Dungeon is a game about stress, and this item is one of the very best. Let's transfer to the Stagecoach items. Let's start off with torches. Infernal torches are there for the experienced people. They're gonna play this and that required challenge. I don't want to speak way too much about it. Radiant torches, the more you lose, the bigger the torch is, or better to say, the easier it is. Once you equip the Radiant torch, it gets easier and easier. It's completely opposite for the Infernal torch. Boss heads, they give you different passives. Very good passives, and most of them are extremely useful. It depends out of the team. If you have team that's gonna burn enemies, you're gonna go for that boss, okay, for the Librarian. If you have a team that you wish to immobilize, you're gonna have the General down, and so on. You need to know exactly what you're doing and what team composition you're playing and what boss you will go for. That's how it is. I will hover over every boss trophy now. Now let's go to pets. Larval Carrion Eater. Not that good of a pet, okay? You need to clear out corpses, waste around to clear them, then heal up, gain crit. Maybe Leper can profit the most out of it, and that's about it. Hatchling Crocodilian. When moving, 3% damage per battle. So, characters that move receive damage. You need Runaway, Jester, Grave Robber, combo of all of those, maybe even Hellion with a breakthrough, so you receive that damage non-stop. I would not recommend this pet to newcomers. Unnatural Owlet is great because it increases the chance of producing items from Stagecoach. If you have a lot of food, this Reanimated Rabbit is very good and it's user friendly. If you just wanna go for the Oblivion's Ingress, then you're gonna equip Shambler's Spawn, simple as that. I would not recommend this one to newcomers for sure. Shrieker Chick, absolutely great. All you need is scouting gear and you receive 2% crit per scouting gear, or better to say, max is 8% crit on all characters, on all heroes. It also increases the quantity of looted bubbles. This slime provides increased chance of looting items from road debris. Very, very good pet, and I mean it. You can get rich out of road debris. For those that risk a lot and for those that play without a healer in a team, this one can help a bit with healing after every location. Crimson Tick produces blood. Blood is OP, very OP consumable. Very good pet. And the last one, or better to say, this is the first one you're gonna get, is Stress Resist per luxury gear. This is like 20% stress resist if you get all 4 items with luxury gear on your Stagecoach and positive relation plus 10%. This, even though it's a first pet, is probably the best pet in the game. I just love this one. Complete control over gameplay. Now let's go to the Stagecoach items. Academic Caches Scouting Location, not bad. Remember, you need to combine those with pets. Chance to produce concoction and powder items, not bad. Quantity of looted relics +4, whatever. Quantity of produced items from Stagecoach items, again, whatever. Hoarder location scouting is a very, very nice item, especially because it doubles the trinket selection at the Hoarder. Very good item on a Stagecoach. Puddle case is frankly whatever. These lamps reduce loathing, or better to say this is loathing resist. I would say if you're new you can profit out of it, but definitely for more experienced players this is garbage item. Now if you want to remove negative quirks, this directory is an absolute must. It reveals field hospitals on a map. Mixing kit produces restorative items, solid Stagecoach item. This table that removes disease is absolute garbage. For newcomers, the most important Stagecoach item is a chandelier. It increases the amount of candles that you're gonna get. The most important thing in the game by far. For those that maxed everything out, this item is classic garbage. Compressed kit is an absolute garbage. Crow's Nest, you can equip if you don't have anything else to equip. Now this one, Explosives magazine, is very good because it can provide explosives for your team, and I already said traps and explosives are the most important combat items in the game. Food barrels gives a resolute chance, very good item. Griddle, you can keep it if like you can find this one on the first map, you can keep it for like 2 maps, it's gonna produce like 3 or 4 dozens of flapjacks, and then you can switch for some other Stagecoach item and you're gonna have free food for everyone till the very end of the game. Now as far as almanacs go, they give you straight up flat percent damage, 15% damage on all maps. The Sprawl, the Shroud, the Photor and the Tangle. Good for beginners. I would avoid this and go for something else if I need to spend bubbles. Okay, but for the beginners, it's actually good. It makes the game slightly easier. Icebox merges well with a food pet and with items that produce food, so you get benefits out of all of that. Other than that, it's complete garbage. You need to know what you're doing for this item to work. Iron Banded Wheels, very good Stagecoach item. It provides extra wheels. Probably the most important item in the game would be Iron Brazier. Traveling Flame Drain is down by 33%. Probably, especially for the newcomers, the most important thing that exists. Leaf Suspension, positive relation chance on every inn, very nice one. Traveling Heal, very good on beginners. Medicine Chest, I would say that this one is a complete garbage. And Merchant's Guild Seal is probably one of the best Stagecoach items in the game. Flat 20% discount on all items in the game. It can happen that Inn can also have 50% discount, and then that's 70% discount. And it can happen that you can receive another 25% discount from Monster's Den and so on, where you're gonna be able to buy a trinket that, for example, costs 70 bubbles for only 1 bubble. So imagine that. When it happens, you get every single trinket in a game. Mortar and Pestle, I would say avoid this one, get something else. Now, the Shrine Map trinket is one of the most important trinkets for the beginners, because it reveals hero shrines. You need to reveal all hero shrines to unlock all skills for all heroes in the game. Very important for newcomers. Steel Plating gives us armor, the other one gave us wheels. Solid items, solid Stagecoach items. Stew Pot producing Invigorating Stew, very good trinket, no matter if you're a beginner or not. Great item. Flat storage is always good in the game, whether it's +3 slots, whether it's +6 slots, okay? It's always good to have that. Strongbox buys you that additional space in your inventory where you can stack relics and bubbles. If you have a spacious strongbox, it's even better, because now you're gonna have a free inventory with this one. T-Service, absolutely great item, positive relation chance. Telescope, if you don't have anything else to equip, scouting is great to have. Contraptions, also very good trinket. And this Tracker's map is one of the best, because Creatures Den and Oasis provide the best possible gear in the game. Very, very good to have. And as I said for bombs, now I say it for traps. Trap Maker's Kit, extremely important. Traps and bombs are the most important combat items in the game. Trinket Organizer increases the chance of looting trinkets. It's always good to have an increased chance to loot trinkets, let's be real. Once, if your Stagecoach is out of wheels or out of armor, there is an extra action after using the repair skill. Basically, this is for newcomers, this item sucks. Whiskey, not bad if you want positive relations. Okay, if you can get this one on a very first map, you can steamroll into positive relations till the end of the game. Wind chime, if you can have it for free, why not? It removes 1 point of stress after each location. Good item. And at the end, we got work table loom, chance to produce woven items. Basically, this is trash. Believe it or not, that's it with the recollection. There's a lot of items in the game. I told you what's what. Darkest Dungeon 2 map guide. All map interactions. Everything you need to know about traversing the maps with your Stagecoach. Every single interaction, what it does, and how you're supposed to pick your route. Let's not waste time. Let's go. Let's start from the Hoarder. You're supposed to go to the Hoarder, this small icon over here, once you got enough relics and bubbles. Relics to buy some combat and inn items, and bubbles to buy some trinkets or Stagecoach items. You are not supposed to go for the Hoarder if you're out of currency, so don't make the mistake. See where the Hoarder is, you got money, go for it, you don't, avoid it. It's simple as that. The next one would be cash, or better to say academic cash. Academic cash is always worth going for, because academic cash can give you all items in a game. Food, combat, in items, trinkets, like everything that exists, it's a random roll. It's always worth going for it. It's extremely valuable. Try to go for those academic caches. Where I'm standing right now would be the Watchtower. Watchtower is your scouting. Scouting is important later on. Once you develop a bit, you should not suppose, if you're a newcomer, you're not supposed to go for the Watchtower. You're supposed to chase hero shrines, objectives, and so on. Watchtower is once you level up a bit, and then you can exploit and use a Watchtower to gain that speed from buffs. Okay, passive buffs in the Altar of Hope and so on. If you're a beginner, just avoid the Watchtower. The next one would be the Oasis. Same, I can say, like I said for the Watchtower. If you're a beginner, you want to avoid Oasis. Oasis is there once you leveled up things in your altar, okay? So you can get 3 flasks to remove stress plus 1 extra. Till then, you should avoid Oasis. It's a waste of time. You're better off hunting candles than going for Oasis. Oasis is extremely useful, especially on Infernal runs. And now we come to the Creature's Den, or how I like to call it, Monster's Den. Creature's Den, this icon over here, this is probably the most important thing in the game, and I've spent a lot of hours in the game, so trust me when I say it, it is the most important. It gives mastery points, it gives discounts, it clears stress, it gives a lot of cool items. Like Creature's Den, when you see it, you go for it. What's the problem? The problem is there are 2 phases of monsters in Creature's Den. How you resolve it with the right team composition and with right combat items. Most of the creatures in Creature's Den, no matter the map, they got dodge and arm. If you got bombs and if you got heroes that deal AoE damage, to remove dodge and armor in the first round, when they spawn, you won't have any problems. If you go in there without those 2 that I said, you'll probably end up dead. So be careful what you're doing in a Creature's Den. Again, this is one of the best encounters in the game once it rolls on a map. Now once you see this academic study will give you a positive quirks, negative quirks, random quirks, trinkets, or it can give you boss fight against the Shambler. So academic study is extremely good, and it can also backfire. So this is like full risk and reward encounter. Every time when you see academic study, it's a full risk and reward. How would I rate academic study? Great to get, like, if you're a beginner, to try and go for like 1 or 2 on the entire run. If you play on Infernal, you should get every single one. That's how it is with the academic study. For newcomers, I would definitely say avoid if you can. The next one would be this hands over here, better to say assistance encounter. Assistance encounter provides food, provides trinkets, supplies, combat in items, okay? And what's most important, it provides Flame. This one, it ain't that important for newcomers in terms of Flame, because you can buy Flame in stores, and if you know how to play, you'll never run out of Flame, especially on Radiant runs. Okay, once the torch is like this. If the torch is blue, and if it is the Infernal run, where the torch goes off faster, then assistance encounters matter. I would say you can go for 1 or 2 assistance encounter per map on Radiant, if at all, and you will need 2+ assistance encounter on Infernal runs. The Lair is where the boss is, boss of the map. There are 4 main maps in a game, and there are 4 main map bosses in the game. Okay, the Librarian, Fish, the Stinky Guy, and over here on this map we got the General. Boss fight encounter consists out of 3 combats in a row. What does it mean? One tip for the fight. Once you decide to go for it, you should always go once you have at least around 6 to 10 mastery points. The other thing is, you can go, but do not spend combat items once you're in there in the first 2 fights. You need to conserve your combat items for the actual boss, because he spawns on a 3rd phase. And you'll need to learn what boss gives what. For example, the General over here, if you like your characters to be immobilized, he gives immobilized trinket or minus 75% discount on all trinkets. Every boss gives a specific boss head, or better to say boss trophy, that once you apply it on your Stagecoach over here in the trophies, it gives a specific passive. What boss Lair also does is reduce loathing for the beginners. You are supposed to completely avoid the Lair, and that's the most important thing. You do not need to do the Lair in denial to reach the final confession boss in the game. Okay, there are mini bosses, or better to say map bosses, and there is a confession boss. So once you play chapter 1 denial, you do not need to go into the Lair ever. You can completely avoid the Lair. You don't care about it. Once you start with chapter 2, once you accumulate some candles and some upgrades, then you can consider going for the boss. I would advise to avoid the boss on a map 1. If you're to do the boss, you're gonna do it on map 2 or 3, and even better if Bounty Hunter is available. The good thing about the boss Lair is that it reduces loathing, and it gives a lot, and when I say a lot, I mean a lot of resources, a lot of relics, a lot of bubbles, very good trinkets plus the trophies. So yeah, it is the most rewarding encounter in the game on the map. Speaking about loathing and how boss removes loathing, when you see on the road this interactions Oblivion Tear and it says +1 loathing. Loathing is the thing that accumulates over here. It says what chapter you're in, Cowardice chapter 5. I'm speaking now for the newcomers. Once it says chapter 1 denial, okay, this is the loathing parts. Once the loathing goes to the 4, okay, once you accumulate 4 loathing, the boss will get stronger, confession boss. So it is very important that you remove loathing. You can remove loathing in many different ways. You can clear creatures, then you can clear boss Lair, and now we come to this, you can go and clear resistance encounters. Alright, resistance encounters or Oblivion's Ingress. On Oblivion's Ingress, there's always cosmic enemies, the most powerful enemies in a game. On resistance encounter are mobs that are specific for the map you're currently playing in. What resistance encounter offers? It offers mastery points, it offers relics and bubbles, and it reduces loathing. Take control of your loathing. Once you start the map, pick your route smart. I told you what it does with resistance encounter and with Oblivion Ingress encounters, how it reduces loathing, and you should balance, okay? You can. Now, speaking about balancing, there's wheels on your Stagecoach and there's armor on your Stagecoach that you can repair once you reach the inn. You got 3, okay, later on you can get 5 wheels and 5 armor. For the starters, for the newcomers, you got 3 and 3. So once the map starts, you can tell where is -1 wheel, you can tell when there is a barricade, you can tell when there is loathing, and you can tell when there is armor hazard, where you're gonna damage your armor. So pick smart. You start and then you plan your route. You do not just go and plan along the way. When you start, you stop And then you say, I'm gonna go to the Hoarder, after the Hoarder I'm gonna go to the Watchtower, after that I'm gonna go to the Monsters Den, and then you count how much wheels you're gonna lose, how much armor you're gonna lose, how much loathing you're gonna gain, and how much loathing you will remove along the way. Play smart, calculate, just calculate your route and you won't have any problems. When does the problem occur? Once you just press everywhere, alright? You don't even look at the road. Oh, you see academic cache and now you're gonna go for the academic cache. And you don't care about the roadblocks. You're gonna remain out of wheels, you're gonna trigger loathing, you're gonna fail the map. So pick smart. It's not always good to go for the most rewarding encounter. Sometimes it's smarter to avoid the most rewarding encounter if it's gonna save you some armor and wheels. Or better to say, if it's gonna make you arrive safe in the inn. The main objective of the map is to reach from the gate to the inn. That's the main objective. And for the newcomers, the most important objective are the candles. Okay, candles and hero shrines. Now speaking about hero shrines, let's speak about hero shrines and go to the hero shrines. So hero shrines. Hero shrines, this is the icon you will spot on a map. This is how encounter looks like. The bell. That bell, when you see it on a map, that's the most important thing for a newcomer. What does it do? It unlocks skills for your characters. For all characters, you need to, for the character, each character needs to find 5 hero shrines to unlock all skills in the game. The starting skills is what you'll get when you unlock a hero, these 5. The rest, the 6 of them, you unlock 4, like this, with 4 hero shrines, and the less hero shrines unlocks 2 skills at once. Once you have all of these on every character, then you can properly play the game. So the only thing that you care on a map is the bell icon. Okay, as a newcomer, this is the most important thing. How much candles you can accumulate, how many bell icons you can find to max out those skills as fast as you can, or better to say, to unlock those skills as fast as you can. This is #1 priority. If you have all of those, of course, and you go with Infernal runs, Hero Shrine is the least important encounter on the map, or better to say, it's completely useless. Once you see the crossover here, Hospital, this would be the last encounter on the map. What does the Hospital do? The Hospital offers healing. You can buy healing, you can remove diseases, you can remove negative quirks, you can lock in positive quirks, and you can buy some very special and unique healing trinkets. Hospital is always important. I would recommend visiting the hospital once you got like around 50 or so relics to remove a negative quirk or 2, especially for beginners. I'll repeat once again, roadblock, barricade can offer loot when you go for it. Wheels, armor, and loathing remains intact. Once you go through loathing, loathing rises, then you need to do resistance encounter, Lair, or Oblivion's Ingress to remove loathing. Even creature then does the job. If you go through wheels, you're gonna lose a wheel. If you go through hazard, you're gonna lose armor. The point is to reach the inn, as short as that. Just calculate right from start, the gate, to finish, and you won't have any problems. If you got any problems to understand everything that I was saying right now, you can find like 50 victory runs on my channel for every chapter on both Radiant Torch and Infernal Torch. Depends what you like to see, what boss you like to see, what map you like to see, what team composition you would like to see. Everything is on my channel, and the easiest way to learn how to play this game is to watch one full run and see what I'm actually doing. Now, you remember in my Altar of Hope guide how I said that the most important upgrades for candles would be Journey and Resourcefulness. Resourcefulness gives bonuses to map encounters. Extremely important if you wanna advance in a game fast and if you wanna have success at victory runs. So every time when you arrive at the Valley Inn, once the game starts, you're gonna receive an extra relics and bubbles. Very important. Location and route scouting, so you can find those hero shrines, especially for newcomers, faster. This is very useful. A reduction on a Stagecoach repair cost. This is how you repair your wheels and armor. Once you arrive at a Hoarder, every time when you arrive at a Hoarder, you will receive plus 12 relics. Extremely important upgrade, especially once you find the Hoarder on a roadmap. You're gonna get rich fast. Once you arrive at the Academic's cache, you get a free random item. So on top of all the items that Academic cache gives, you're gonna receive a free bonus item. Very important. Now this is a wealth upgrade from the previous one, where you're gonna receive 20 bubbles on addition to 12 relics once you reach the Hellion. Now I said that once you reach the hospital you can remove negative quirks, lock in positives, buy some gear and so on. But once you upgrade Resourcefulness here, and once you get Century, all heroes will heal for 10% of HP, and they will remove 1 stress when they reach the hospital. Extremely important. When you arrive at any inn, you will receive a free random inn item for more buffs during the respite. Very good. The next one is again better scouting. The next one is even better reduction on a Stagecoach repair costs. And now we go to curiosity. When you reach those academic studies, I already told you that they're very useful for experienced players, and once you got this as a newcomer and once you upgrade curiosity, then you can start hunting academic studies for trinkets to receive a random combat item as a bonus. Now what I said for Oasis, now it comes over here. Oasis, we're gonna go to Oasis once we got refreshment to get that mineral rich spring water that can heal 10% of HP and remove 3 points of stress. This would be the mineral rich spring water. Now you get the point why I say avoid Oasis as a newcomer. You need an upgrade to receive this thing. And the last one is the Watchtower, when all heroes will receive +1 speed until the next inn. This can fuck you up or it can help you out. It depends on your trinkets. If you got trinkets that give passive bonuses on speed less than 2, for example, then this Watchtower can really destroy your run. Why? Imagine that you got speed out of 2 and you visit the Watchtower. Now you have speed out of 3. That means that if you have this trinket equipped, you will lose the chance for extra action, because you need speed out of 2, 1, 0 to actually receive extra action. Pay attention on your trinkets before visiting Watchtower. Basically, what makes the map guide and map runs easier is the upgrade of Journey, fully upgraded Journey, and fully upgraded Resourcefulness, the 2 most important upgrades. What you wanna go for as a newcomer are hero shrines and candles. Everything else doesn't matter until you max this out. We're gonna speak about all heroes in Darkest Dungeon 2, ranking them from worst to best. Let's not waste time, let's go. Let's open up with a Plague Doctor. We got Wanderer, Surgeon, Alchemist, and Physician. Wanderer is by far the weakest one, so we're gonna place him in tier D. Alchemist is by far one of the best classes in the game, S+. The amount of burn and blight on the Alchemist is just insane. On top of it all, you got healing. If played properly with the right composition, this is one of the strongest classes in the game, subclasses. Surgeon, Plague Doctor, would be a melee healer. There are better healers in the game, and for sure, there are better melees in the game. Surgeon takes tier C. The last one would be Physician, crowd control Plague Doctor. If you assemble a team that's gonna profit out of stuns, out of days, combo them up okay, like with Man-at-Arms, with Bounty Hunter and so on, then this is a good class. But in most cases, a lot of players will suffer with Physician. It's a tricky class to play, and that's why I'm gonna put him on a spot tier B. Next one would be the Grave Robber. We got Deadeye, we got Venom Drop, and we got Nightsworn. A Wanderer Grave Robber will end up in tier C, slightly better than a Wanderer Plague Doctor. Deadeye is by far the best Grave Robber in the game, S tier. Venom Drop is very tricky to play and it's gonna end up on tier B. A lot of players will have problem to assemble a good team around Venom Drop. Nightsworn is absolutely brilliant, tier A. would be the choice. Now we got a Highwayman. Highwayman, we got Rogue, we got Sharpshot, and we got Yellowhand. Highwayman is probably the best, if not the best, hero in the game. First Highwayman would be the Wanderer. Wanderer is very weak, unfortunately, so tier D for a Wanderer. The next one would be Rogue, absolute S+. Point blank, riposte, switching positions, huge crits, tanky, reliable, S+ without second thoughts. Sharpshot and Yellowhand are very similar. One is a shooter, the other one is a bleeder, bleeding enemies. Both are tankier versions, cause let's be real, Highwayman is a off tank. So the Sharpshot would be tier A, Yellowhand would be also tier A. Next one would be Man-at-Arms. Man-at-Arms is absolutely insane, one of the best heroes in the game. So let's begin with Man-at-Arms Wanderer. One of the weakest parts of the Wanderer would be lack of skills, as well as everyone else that I'm putting up in tier D. So Man-at-Arms Wanderer ain't that good, but Vanguard would be S+. Why? It provides damage, it provides taunt, it provides armor, and his stress heals. Okay, you got everything from Vanguard that you're gonna need to finish every single chapter there is. I know, because I've spent 300 hours in a game and I had multiple successful runs, 20, 30, 50 runs, I don't even know anymore, on both Infernal and Torch runs. Vanguard is S+. As far as Sergeant and Bulwark go, Sergeant is extremely weak and I would put him like on tier C, while Bulwark is slightly better and that's why he's gonna end up in tier B. Next one would be Hellion. Hellion, we got Ravager, we got Berserker, we got Carcass. In other words, we got a Bruiser, we got a Bleeder, and we got a pure tank. Trickiest one to play and by far the best. Let's rank them up. First one would be the Wanderer. Wanderer is actually tier B and it's probably the best Wanderer class that you can take out of all heroes. Next Hellion would be Carcass. Carcass is S+. If you know how to play, if you know how to taunt with proper trinkets, this is one indestructible subclass. Pure tank with non-stop taunts and crowd control. If you wanna deal damage with Hellion, then it's gonna be Ravager. Ravager would be S tier. And at the end there's the Bleeding Hellion. Bleed is probably the weakest damage over time effect in the game, because let's be real, Blight and Burn are OP, so Bleed, until it gets buffed, this Hellion cannot go higher than tier A. Alright. It is good in cases of a boss if it occupies spot 1 where you can stack up bleeding and hurt more and more with every next hit, but right now this is the max that I can put it up, tier A. The next one would be the Runaway. Runaway comes with Arsonist, with Survivor, and Orphan. You'll burn enemies guaranteed with Arsonist, you'll be hard to kill and you'll have better heals with Survivor, and on the Orphan, depends on the position, you can hurt a lot or you can deal better burn damage. First one would be the Wanderer, very weak, tier D. Next one would be Arsonist. I would easily put it on S+ or S, I'm still undecisive to be honest. I believe that Arsonist is slightly better than Orphan. They both do similar things, it depends how you wanna play, okay? If you come with a breakthrough quirk, for example, then it's Orphan on S+ tier. If you play without that quirk, then it's the Arsonist, so it's a bit tricky class to play with. Arsonist is like a safe bet, and that's why it goes on S+, while Orphan needs correct quirks and correct trinkets, so I'm gonna put it on S tier. Survivor, I'm gonna put Survivor on tier C, cause it's an absolute garbage. The next one is our personal favorite for all Darkest Dungeon players, the Jester. We got Wanderer, we got Virtuoso, we got Soloist, and we got Intermezzo. In other words, we got a buffer, okay, crowd control, buff your allies, we got damage dealer, and we got bleeder. Intermezzo is best played with a Runaway if you wanna heal up after the bleed, because you will inflict bleed on your allies every time when you buff them up. A Wanderer Jester will occupy tier C. Our Bleeder Intermezzo will occupy tier A. Virtuoso will occupy tier S, while Soloist, damage dealer, is an absolute S tier with brutal crits from Solo and Finale. The next one in line would be Leper. The Leper Wanderer, we got Tempest, a damage dealer, we got Poet, a pure tank, and we got Monarch, an even better tank that's gonna deal a lot of damage to Cosmic enemies. Cosmic enemies are all the bosses in the game, basically, and the hardest enemies in the game. The other problem with this, you won't be able to deal any damage with your Leper during other enemies, okay? And there are 9 types of enemies in the game. Monarch is extremely tricky to play and one of the best classes in the game also, but it's not for a newcomer. Wanderer Leper will occupy tier A, is the best Wanderer hero in the game by far. Tempest, our pure damage dealer, will go on tier S. If you know what you're doing, Monarch is S+. Extremely tricky for a newcomer, but Monarch is really that good. At the end, we got Leper Poet, which is gonna occupy tier B, because it's absolutely tricky to play and quite useless. You need a specific team composition that don't switch places for Leper Poet to work, and you need to kill a specific boss for this Poet to actually work. The next in line would be the Occultist. The Occultist, Wanderer, Ritualist, with a lot of buffs and debuffs, Warlock for pure range damage, and Aspirant for melee damage. Better to say, this is a tanky Occultist. A Wanderer Occultist will occupy tier B, very useful as a Wanderer class for the beginners. Warlock is all the way up to S+. Absolutely amazing damage, especially with his ultimate skills. Ritualist, I would say, goes to tier A because it's very tricky to play. At the end, we got Aspirant. I would also put him in tier A, melee tanky Occultist. Now we can speak about Bounty Hunter. Bounty Hunter, if played as ranged and if you got burned in your team, for example with a Runaway, ranged Bounty Hunter is tier S+. As a pure tank, he is probably tier A, alright? Or, better to say, as a melee. If we take into consideration that he's OP from the start and you can take him by only one map, so we pick between ranged S+ and tier A melee, the middle option would be tier S for a Bounty Hunter. Speaking about Vestal and Flagellant, I could make them into tiers, but the developers, they already said how they gonna get the actual numbers for the subclasses and better explanations of what they do. They're both the same, you can't tell what they do. They just said it buffs specific type of spell and so on. Okay, they do suck compared to all other classes. Alright, you need to know what you're doing, and you need to have a specific team for a Vestal or for a Flagellant. They're both gonna change during the next patch, so it is ungrateful to talk about Flagellant and Vestal. I would avoid for new players to completely ignore these two classes. You can play them if you wanna have fun, okay, and you can maybe go with a Flagellant Maniac. I would put him on tier A because I played him a bit. And maybe a Confessor Vestal, okay, but everything else I would recommend to completely avoid until patch arrives and we can see the actual numbers, because right now it's extremely confusing to play with Vestal and with Flagellant. What I can also say, if you wanna tank, Flagellant doesn't provide an armor when he taunts, while all other tanks provide armor during taunt, like for example Carcass from Hellion or Man at Arms Vanguard or a Leper Monarch. Alright, they are tankier than Flagellant. That's the first thing. If you're gonna go with Flagellant in back ranks, rank 3 and 4, again, they are better classes than Flagellant. They're gonna do range damage. Now, same can be said about Vestal. You wanna go as a tank up front, it's not as good as other classes. You wanna go behind as a healer and a damage dealer, both Runaway and Plague Doctor do it better than Vestal. These two classes are the newest ones after all, okay? First it came out with Vestal and then they released Flagellant with a full release. I guess they're gonna change them drastically in the next few patches, so that's why I don't even wish to talk about them. This is what you need to know and how you can play the game right now and what's good and what's not. What I would recommend is to check out some of my full runs, both Infernal or Torch runs, no matter how you wanna put it, and I would recommend for you to take this game slowly. If you found this video useful, don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and I'll be seeing you on the next one. Thanks for watching.